It's happening because
Hey.
the computers do their thing.
Nice.
Welcome. So, oh, guy's in the waiting room. He's connecting with audio, so I will disappear.
All right. Are we all here?
Yes, we are.
Hello, Rayne. Nice to meet you.
Hi, guy. Likewise.
So it looks like you're using white transfer paper here.
Yes.
Although I guess we could use either.
Either is fine. Yeah.
Okay. And I guess we're going to be live in like 30 seconds.
Sounds good.
Oh, we're live now. You're live now.
Okay. Beautiful. All right. Well, hey, everyone. Welcome to this evening's class at the 4th Virtual Tattoo Gathering. We have here tonight Rayne Delmar, and anyone who has dropped by her Instagram profile over this last couple days after seeing this announcement to see her paintings is probably as impressed as I am. It's great, illustrative, but realist. It definitely has a very beautiful classic feel, kind of like from the Gustav Klimt era. And I just love the mix of realism and illustrative elements, which is, I think, something that would be of interest to a lot of tattoo artists. Rayne, you want to tell us just a few things about yourself and your background as a painter? Are you actually like formally schooled, or where did this all start?
Yeah, so hi everybody, my name is Rayne. I'm a painter and tattoo artist. So just a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Ukraine, and that's where I first discovered my love for painting. And I've been taking art classes in Ukraine. I then immigrated to United States, to New York at the age of 12, and I went to LaGuardia High School for art, and then subsequently to School of Visual Arts, where I studied illustration. And I decided I didn't want to do illustration almost right after graduation, and then I discovered tattooing and found that the balance of both really worked for me. So a little bit about my history doing that. I mostly paint in oils on masonite. I really enjoy doing gold leaf as well, which is a foil. I think the combination of oil and foil is just something that works for me. And yeah, I'm excited to do this.
All right, well, thank you, Rayne. And yeah, we're excited too. My wife and daughter and I are all doing this, and we're all doing different crops of the reference image that you gave us. And I'm curious to know what's the objective here in terms of, I guess, how much freedom are you encouraging people to take with this, and what are the parts of what you're going to be demonstrating today that you think are the most important for the people to actually follow along?
Right. So normally a painting like this and a portrait like this will take, way beyond 3 hours. So to start off, I want to say that if you don't finish in time, if you don't, if you're not done with the portrait, please don't be discouraged. That's totally fine. This is going to be just, an introduction to my process and how I work with things like this. I encourage everybody to take this reference that I provided and do their own fantastical interpretation of it. So the point of the seminar is I want people to understand you're not a slave to the reference. A reference is just your tool to help you with proportion, with anatomy, with the light sources. You are free to change the color if you want her to be looking maybe like a fantastical scaly creature. Go for it. If you want her to turn her into a zombie or add other surreal elements, remember that the reference is just a tool to help you create something of your own. And I think that's where I want to concentrate, as well as combining realism with fantastical elements of painting. So there's a lot of freedom. And again, don't be discouraged if your painting doesn't look like the reference. you know, it's all practice and in good fun. So.
Nice. So what are the twists or changes that you're going to be making to it in your painting?
So here, so I'm going to be changing the colors slightly. I also think I'm going to go for a creepier feel. You know, I think I'm going to change her eyes, and I'm going to maybe put a third eye into her, like the amulet in the middle of her forehead. And then the way that I didn't put her in the center, because later when I'm going to be working on this painting, I want to put maybe some kind of fantastical background that really tells a story. So, which is always, I think, the job of the artist or illustrator, like give enough information to tell a story, but not enough that it's no longer mysterious. You know, people can be drawn in by the subject you're painting, and then can make up their own fantastical interpretation of what's going on in this piece. So narrative is very interesting to me, and I think for a lot of people it is that way also.
Nice. So we've tinted our boards burnt sienna, and is this because you work very translucent with your color?
So I like to start with, I think it will be easier for everyone to start with like a mid-tone. You know, you're already covering all the white, so then it's easier for you to push and pull to find those darker tones and those lighter tones. I think normally, you know, I can do a very detailed underpainting for something like this, but since we are kind of on a time budget, I would basically start everybody with taking a little bit of that burnt sienna and really diluting it with turpentine, and then just kind of start laying in your values. So that's where I'm going to start doing. And then later on, you know, you'll be able to see me lay on the color, and I'm going to, you know, talk as I do it. So I think that's going to be interesting, because I never usually talk when I paint. So we'll see how that goes.
So is this one of your first times teaching a seminar?
Yeah, you know, I'm pretty private when I paint. You know, I usually listen to music or audiobooks, but I think it's a, you know, it's a good exercise to be able to speak and work at the same time.
Well, we're excited that you're teaching one of your first seminars ever here at the Virtual Tattoo Gathering.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Fantastic. Okay, well, I'm going to flip my camera around, and I'm going to mostly shut up during this, although I think if there's something that feels like a pressing question, I'm going to bring it up.
Yeah, go for it.
And you can see I've got, I'm doing a crop where part of her face is going off, so I can really focus on my fantasy element, which is going to be some kind of alien head shape kind of stuff in the upper left. So I'm just making sure I'm leaving room for that.
I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, that's great. We can see it a lot more clearly.
Okay,
you
great.
are upside down, though. Is that on purpose?
Huh?
She is upside down. Is that on purpose, or is that?
She's not supposed to be upside down.
Okay.
No, I think that's just because of the way that your phone is, Guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was okay. Yeah, there we go.
Is that my phone or yours?
No, it was mine. Sorry about that.
Okay. All right, are we ready to start?
Yes, and I'm going to actually set this phone elsewhere so that the other people at the table can see it. And yeah, we are ready when you are.
Okay, I'm ready. So yeah, I'm going to first dip into my burnt sienna with a lot of turpentine, make it a very thin glaze. And then we're just going to fill in some values there.
So Mike Flint says, hello, Rayne. And then he also asks, how did you transfer the sketch?
So for large pieces, I prefer to use a projector, but for something small like this, I dug up a transfer paper And basically you just put in, you put the transfer paper, and on top you put your reference, and then it transfers that way. So, but there's transfer paper that's black. This one is white. You know, it doesn't really matter to me. My transfers are very loose. They're not detailed at all. I basically just need to know where the major proportions are, and I could pretty much surmise everything else, but everybody's different. So if you want to get darker transfer paper and really put in all the details in there, feel free to do so. So like I said, a painting like this normally, you know, would take a lot longer. And actually a cool trick, when you're painting the same piece and you have all your oils on your palette, and you want to make sure that your oils don't dry, if you have to take a break from the piece or something, stick it in a freezer, and it stays wet for a long time.
So Guy, just so you know, I did mute you until you want to unmute yourself, because there was just a little bit of background noise while you were shuffling around.
Yeah, so what I was saying is that, you know, we had bought a refrigerator container once, but at the time, Michelle and I were using we were in a studio that there wasn't a fridge, so it was just a covered container. We never had a chance to give it a proper go.
When I used to live on my own, my entire freezer was just filled with pallets. But now that I live with someone, I actually have to put food in there. So.
I did finally get to processing the Drunk Critique Illustrator edition.
What is that? What do you mean, like
the one that we did a couple months ago? With
when you say processing, you mean like edit, make it into like a?
It was a very light edit, yeah. Like.
I see. So how did that come out?
Great! I'm excited to upload it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let me know where I can watch it.
The pattern of critique is so much was so unique compared to the regular drunk critique for tattoos.
Well, how is it different from
like,
your point of view?
As you were saying, like narrative, priority, cast of characters. You know, why this expression, not that expression. Was, yeah, I mean, a lot of tattooers will bring it up, but not quite like with ferocity. And you know, it wasn't quite just as much, you know, composition, contrast, you know, layout, readability, you know, limitations of the skin.
I see.
It was great.
I think a lot of tattooers tend to get caught up in the technical aspects of tattoos more so than, you know, what's being said by it and that kind of thing. The linguistic elements are almost lost, I think, to some. They're looking so much at whether it's got clean lines or, you know, enough contrast to you know, fit their definition of what a good tattoo is, that they might miss the fact that it's got a really incredible interaction between two characters or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. I actually always thought that even in tattoos, you know, design is maybe like 70% of how successful your tattoo is going to be. And not to say that, you know, that technique isn't important, but yeah. Also, guys, just I know that it's not catching on my palette. What I'm doing is I'm taking my you know, palette knife, and then I'm kind of mixing the colors that I see in the reference that I want to be there into larger puddles, and it helps you later on to just draw from those puddles instead of mix every time you dip into your palette. So let's say if we're seeing, like right here, she's having some kind of like very pale skin tone. There's some yellow in here, some pink in the cheeks. I'm going to be using colder tones like blues and whites for the highlighted areas. So you want to kind of make a bunch of those tints so that it's easier for you in the long term. So I'm doing that now.
There's a brown wash sheet over.
So where's she putting it? In the lower areas like this?
She's blocking in the background mostly.
Yeah, why don't you
Here,
go over
look at
what she's doing?
the photo. You see the photo, the chin isn't dark, it's the area under the chin that's dark. So look at the reference.
You want to do a recap of how she's approaching it, finally just finally catching up.
So Rayne, for anyone who's just getting caught up here, you want to
Mhm.
kind of give us a rundown of where you're at, since you've actually started laying down paint and what you're doing.
Right. So what I first did, I took a lot of Turp and Burnt Sienna. Later on, you can go in with raw Umber, so like a darker tone. And I just started very generally laying down some of the values
I could put in a small.
very lightly. So you could start doing that. And right now, I am. I wonder if I could zoom out so you could guys see a little bit. Yeah. So you see, I'm making puddles of paint with my palette knife. Just to have it easier for me later on to dip into these paint.
That's just sort of a palette management skill there.
Yeah, actually, one of my instructors taught me this, and it shaved off a lot of time from my painting because every time I needed a color, I would go and I would mix, and then I would go back, and then I would have to mix it again. But if I had a bunch of them pre-mixed already, it was a lot easier to concentrate on the painting than on the paint themselves.
What was it shaving off? I didn't hear.
Time by basically when mixing Turpenoid or medium with the paints, to take the palette knife and make little pools of it, so that that you can dip into in the palette, so that you're not having to remix each brush load of paint.
Good job, Karen.
What do you like the shading you've been
I
doing?
love it.
I think that's going to be okay for now.
So what are we doing? We're blocking in the background, guys?
Or just the values. She's creating a dark background on hers, and then she's putting in the values of the face.
All right.
Can someone have me paper towel over there?
Oh, my smock's falling off.
Want me to tie it there?
So for my background, I'm going to mix the permanent alizarin crimson with my all-time favorite color, which is Payne's gray. I absolutely love this color. I never use black in my palettes, and I just use Payne's gray, and I add it to other colors like red or green, and I feel like not only does it darken it, but it gives it some kind of richness. And yeah, if I had to paint with one color for the rest of my life, that would be it. So I'm kind of mixing it together, and you could see if I could zoom in. I don't know if it's transferring, but it's like this really rich burgundy color that's coming out.
That's what we have on our palette, is Payne's gray and then port black.
Cool.
Lizard.
Okay, thanks. If we take this down, because this is moving around. It's sharpening vehicles.
Yeah, do whatever you got to do.
I'm telling you, I need your help for this. Taping it on my fingers now.
So we have about 30 people watching.
Nice. So to those 30 people watching, am I muted? To those 30 people watching, we are going to be posting these later tonight with VTG Rayne will be our hashtag, and that way we can all look at each other's paintings, and not necessarily later tonight. I know that for some of you it's going to take longer than that. I'll probably wrap mine up in 3 hours just because I'm seeing what I can do in 3 hours. But over the next few days, anyone who finishes them up, if you could post with VTG Rayne, I'll be making a post with that hashtag so you'll see. And yeah, we would love to see everyone's paintings.
So as you can see, when I paint, it's I start off extremely rough. It's very loose. I don't really worry about, you know, being neat in the beginning. That all comes later. And, you know, the longer you have for painting, the more you're able to refine it to your liking.
And I imagine, you know, that's made partly possible by the fact that you are allowing yourself a lot of latitude with how you're using the reference. And I think that that's one of the problems that people get into with references is they
my painting.
not even close. It's still very early stage. It's paint. My daughter is concerned because the eye is slightly smudged, but it's paint. But Kaya, look how loose Rayne's painting is. It's very, very loose, and she's just going to be building it until it looks perfect, right? And
I have a problem. My hand's really shaky and they're doing finicky work.
okay, well, Kaya, it's too early to be doing detail. Why don't you just block in the colors and work the skin tones, and don't worry about the eyes yet. In fact, that's probably something that happens a lot with people is they got drawn towards those important facial details and want to get those nailed down first. I see that you're not doing any of that.
I understand why, you know, it's those are the funnest bits to do. I get it. And it also, you know, I think it's important for, I mean, unless you're like a hyper realism painter and that's your favorite thing to do, you know, more power to you. But personally, I really love the art that's imaginative, you know, that you take a reference and then you kind of build off of it to make something of your own, and kind of, I don't know, tell the world what it's like to look at it through your eyes, through your lens. Because if you know, you could also paint a chair and 20 people will paint it differently. So everybody has their own cool take on it.
I have liquid on my hands.
Okay, go wash it. Yep.
Robert Shaw says that looks amazing. Amy says thanks, Rayne! Exclamation point.
Oh, awesome! Thanks for watching, guys.
So yeah, I know that most people who are tuned in right now probably are not at liberty to type because you're trying to keep up. But we would like to hear from the audience where you're from and how you heard about this tonight's workshop and anything that you have to share.
I want to do like a hummingbird headdress. I think you should do an owl headdress.
Mom, I'm making a cat.
Oh, a cat. Okay, cool. Even better.
See the cat eyes?
Yep, I see the cat eyes. Cool.
So yes, my daughter is going feline with hers.
Oh, nice. How old is your daughter?
She's 9.
Oh, okay.
And she's been doing every one of these VTG paint exercises, which
I
has been
really
great.
love to paint. It's one of my favorite things to do. I like to paint, to draw, and to do things like that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that.
And why I'm going feline is because I'm kind of cat crazy. I have like 11 of them.
You have 11 cats.
Yeah.
Lucky. I only have 2.
It's the family affliction.
Ah, I can relate to it. So for the skin tone, what I was doing is I was mixing in the titanium buff with some of the radiant red and blush.
So Mike Flint is beaming in from Boston. He met Rayne 2 years ago at the Illustrator's Masters class.
Oh, hey, Mike.
He loves that your daughter is painting.
He what?
He loves that guy's daughter is painting.
Awesome.
We love it too. You know, I'm always a little jealous when I see colleagues of ours, other tattoo artists that are, you know, posting pictures from these great like illustrators master classes or sculptors classes or things that, you know, you wouldn't necessarily think of as being, you know, tattoo related education, but they're just, you know, there's somebody who they've found that they just admire their talent so much that they're learning what they can from it. I think that's just awesome to see.
Yeah, illustration masterclass I always rave about it, Gabe knows, but it really helped me grow as an artist. And I think there's like this kind of dangerous misconception that once you are a successful tattoo artist, that you don't have to learn anymore. You don't have to learn how to paint or draw, but I don't think that's the case. You never stop learning. And classes like that, they're just so good for progress.
Can I use this for a second? On my background.
And of course, within the industry, we've got all kinds of classes and seminars. I mean, especially pre-COVID. But I think in some ways it's easy to get this sort of cloistered outlook where tattooers are only looking at work of other tattooers, and we miss out on a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Has James Gurney taught at the IMC?
He did actually. Yeah, he's such a cool dude.
He's one of my favorite people to follow on Instagram because everything he posts is really informative.
Yeah, he has a book, doesn't he? He has a book out. I think.
Okay.
I forgot the name of it, but I heard amazing reviews.
I think I remember seeing a cover with like a little velociraptor preening itself in the sun, right? Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. Really nice guy too.
I think the book might have specifically been about lighting.
Oh yeah, I forgot the name of it, but yeah.
It seems like James has 2 books out. It says Annalisa Schaefer. She met Rayne and Mike Flint at the IMC 2 years ago too. Also from Connecticut.
Yeah. Hey girl, she's awesome.
Connecticut's my old haunts. Okay, so Amy is, and then Amy says, hi from sunny Roswell, New Mexico. I've always been inspired by Guy and Michelle and your encouragement to tattoo what you paint and make good art and then tattoos.
Nice. Thank you.
Awesome.
And, Bruno is in the YouTube.
Nice. Hey, Bruno.
Yeah. Great, Kaya. That's really great.
Oops.
Go wash your hands. Maybe she should wear gloves if she's going to be that messy.
Yeah.
She's observing the paint, though. Get some kids' gloves for this for the future.
I've never seen latex gloves
I'm
in
sure
kid
they make it.
sizes.
Extra small. So you need to paint brush like off. But-
Yep.
So sometimes I also lay down, I just start laying down paint loosely, just so I build it up and later on can have an easier time manipulating it. And then like you could put down a base and then start adding tints and other colors. Since we're not doing, an underpainting today.
Now, when you do underpaint, what exactly does that process consist of?
So it's only about values. Basically, you can do it in acrylic or you could do it in oil. You are building up values. So you find your midtones, you see where, like this would be a midtone and maybe the background would be the darks. So you could start building a shape and you see the object in almost like in 3D form. Where are your highlights? Where are your darks? Where are your midtones? And you do it all in one color, whether it's be burnt sienna or some people like doing it in blue. It doesn't really matter. And in my experience, values matter a lot more than color. Like you could change the color of this portrait to greens, purples, neons, doesn't matter. So long as your value is correct, it's going to look like a successful portrait.
I wish I could somehow get the black out of my brush.
Okay, we've got a question here from Annalisa. Rayne, is your goal to establish the latest lights right away when doing
There's
skin
no black in the
tones?
brush.
Or
But if
just
you
whatever
work over
feels
black,
right?
there will be black in the brush.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, is your goal to establish the lightest lights right away when doing skin tones or just whatever feels right?
I paint whatever feels right. I know some people have a very rigid formula in the way they like to work, and I think that's cool. I kind of do what feels right in the moment. Sometimes I, build little by little by, doing the underpainting. Then I do, the midtones and then the darks, and then I do it this way. Sometimes I work bottom up because that's just how I feel that day. So everybody has a different process for them. And I find mine can be sometimes a little, it's not a classical way to paint, but it works for me. Right now, I just basically need to get paint on the face, and then I could start pushing and pulling what I want to be in the background and what I want to be in the foreground.
Well, I had noticed that a lot of the instructors that we've had have always blocked in the shadows first.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And which is the opposite of what I usually do with my paintings, where I work with a 50% gray foundation and build the lights and then start taking the darks down. But there's pros and cons to each, because if you do your lights first, it's harder to make your shadows as dark because you've always got that little bit of light paint getting mixed in. And vice versa, you start your darks first and your highlights tend to get a little contamination in them unless you're all the way dry. And so, especially when working alla prima, there's not necessarily a way that I'll always do it. It just depends on the subject.
Right.
So Josh Myers says, "Hey guy, I got my alien chess piece from you a few years back. It's exciting to see you're able to do virtual seminars like this!" Exclamation point.
Well, glad you could be here. If you, we do these at least once a month, but if you're involved with reinventing the tattoo, we've got weekly stuff going on. And yeah, that chess piece was a blast. Really enjoyed it.
Here ruined my art.
What?
That didn't cut it. It's a painting. There's a lot of fine tuning that goes on.
A hair ruined my art.
Okay, they might not be chatting, but I've found out where everyone's beaming in from.
All right.
Of course, we've got the States, Colombia, quite a few people, Canada, Germany,
Nice.
Brazil, and the Netherlands.
Beautiful. Love getting that multinational crowd. I know that for some of you, it's extremely late at night right now. And we're grateful that you stayed up late to join us.
Ask her who her favorite painters are.
So, Rayne, we're curious to know some of your favorite painters, the ones that were really big influences on where you are now.
I think when I was younger, it was, Dali was my one of my favorite painters, and then as I got a little older, I found such love for Beksinski. I was always in awe of his work, and the way that I worked was always very colorful, and he kind of inspired me to kind of start limiting down my color palette, which I still try to do now more so than ever. Like the series I'm working now, they have very limited colors. There's this also, he's a living artist, his name is Michael Cheval. I think he's in Florida, I'm not sure. A Russian surrealist. He was such a big influence on me. I love his work. They're very like fantastical, surreal, court jesters, and he paints a lot of instruments. It really inspires me. I highly recommend everybody check him out. I remember the first time I saw his book, I got it for my birthday, and I just opened it and cried for like an hour. I just couldn't believe that somebody's imagination could be so, I don't know, plentiful, fruitful. I really love his work.
Did you say Michael Chavant?
Cheval, Cheval. I think it means horse in French. I'm not sure. And of course, now there are a lot of painters in the illustration community that I'm absolutely in awe of. Have you heard of Brom?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good idea.
I love his work so much.
Yeah. I've got a client that's got one of his paintings, actually.
Oh, yeah? Lucky.
Is it Uli?
Leo Gonzalez down in Albuquerque. Yeah,
There's
I love
actually
how...
a painting I wanted a lot. I think it was called Lamia, based on one of his novels. And I kept checking the website, and I think it said like it was like on layaway or something like that. And I was like, damn, I really want that one. So if somebody ever wants to sell it and you're listening,
St. Michael's
Hi.
Cheval?
yeah.
Yeah, here we go. I'm firing them up here. Holy schmoly.
Yep. Yep.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay.
He has a bunch of books out too. I think they're on Amazon also. So if anybody wants to get them, they're worth it. Trust me.
Sandra says, haha. Or she says, wow, haha. Oils are super different.
Ah, yes, this is her inaugural oil experience. Yes. I'm psyched to hear that, though. Glad you're doing this. Yeah, they are definitely a little different. And but what you give up in control, you get back in soul, I guess. I don't know how else to put it. It's got a life of its own that acrylics don't have.
Well, to you, I mean, everyone has their own
Oh, to me.
happiness.
I think I fought acrylics for most of my young adult life, and they won, and I gave up.
Yeah.
I think there's more room to play with oils because it's not.
Yeah.
It takes longer to dry. And it shows your brushwork a little bit more organically.
Oh, and the different colors that you're working with can interact. Where with acrylics, the interaction is all happening, in terms of layering dry paint over dry paint.
It's interesting that on camera the face looks really light as opposed to what I see in front of me. It looks
Well,
almost.
I'd be curious, if you don't mind, can you just for a moment sort of zoom in close on the face part? Because I bet that it would expose differently and it would look a little bit more like it really does.
Let's see.
Yeah, the webcams and the cameras are.
It's because there's that dark area around it, which just kind of, well, still looks pretty pale. But yeah, you can really see how creamy that is. I can also see
that was a digital zoom, right?
Yeah.
that wouldn't change anything, right? Yeah, you'd have to actually reframe it for it to.
Stop painting and
Yeah, if it's too much of a hassle, don't worry about it. But yeah, it's still helpful to see close like that. Yeah, we've actually kind of run into this with a lot of the workshops where what we're seeing on camera and what we're seeing in real life are a little different, but we still do our best with it. People have still gotten a lot out of it.
I think once I put in more darks in there, it's really gonna be. You're gonna see it differently.
Just about to pass 100 playbacks.
Nice. Now, are you expecting to more or less work the face to a fairly completed point before you move on to the hair and other features, or do you like to try to get the whole panel covered?
I think I was going to work on everything. I think that I'm going to abandon the collar itself, just due to the time restriction. I'm gonna put in like a general color in there. I'm gonna concentrate on the face today and some of the more surreal elements here, and I'm gonna block in the hair in a little bit.
What brushes is she using?
So can you tell us a little bit about the brushes that you're using? Now, I noticed you talked about filberts and flats. Could you tell us a little bit about your brush choices and why?
Yeah, so when I start, I like using flats, just to kind of block in different areas. I like filberts because they have like a softer edge, and the way that I usually paint, like if you've seen my paintings, they tend to look pretty smooth, and there's not a lot of brush stroke in there. So when you want more brush strokes, I think the flats are better for that. I also use something like softer brushes, something like this sometimes. Sometimes if I do something and I after I just laid on the color and I want it to be very soft, almost like blurred, I just blur off the color and I start painting on top of that as well. So that's something I do also.
Yeah, I think that, I'm used to painting on canvas, and I think that with panels, those really soft brushes come in really handy because anything stiffer, you run the risk of your brush strokes kind of cutting all the way through.
Mm-hmm. I've always preferred very soft brushes. I never, when I go to the paint store, I never look at their denominations or the types or anything. I almost do like just a feel test. I go around touching all the brushes, and the ones that feel right for me, they have to have the right firmness and softness. I like soft brushes. There are a lot of watercolor brushes that I use for oil as well. But then again, it just comes to personal preference. Even when I used to paint on canvas mostly also, and then I've transitioned to masonite, and it just works for me better, less texture. But if you really like texture, canvas is superb. Actually, funnily enough, to coat my masonite, I cut it, and then I do a layer of gesso, then I sand it, and I do another layer of gesso. Sometimes that gesso, if it's too thick, it takes longer to dry, and if you're in a rush, well, my official tip is don't bake your paintings. My unofficial tip is sometimes it works out. So if for this panel, for instance, it wasn't drying in time, so I stuck it in an oven at like 170 degrees for 20 minutes. It dried up pretty quickly, and then I could sand it. So that worked out for me.
Okay. Amy asked if you just used a white pencil to stencil.
White pencil?
To stencil?
No, I used transfer paper, and this transfer paper is white.
Yeah, for anyone not familiar with transfer paper, it's not unlike stencil paper. You put your reference over it, and the transfer paper is sandwiched in between the piece and the reference, and the pressure of you tracing it causes the line to form. So it's very similar in idea to stencil paper. It's just stuff that you can paint over. Anybody who's ever tried painting over hectograph, all I can say is don't try it.
Hectograph?
The stencil stuff, the purple stuff.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God. I had such a bad experience with that.
You tried it? Yeah, Michelle tried that once, and I watched her. I watched her struggle with it. And
I could never cover it. It would never cover up.
Nothing covers it.
Yeah.
You just, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I threw my painting across the room. It was so bad.
I wonder how many people just have to try it. It's like, I'm a tattooer. This stuff works great.
Yeah, it seems like it would work. Like logically, it seems like the next step, but nope. It is not the way.
Seth Mushrush. I always use water. Oh, geez, that moved around here. I always use watercolor rounds and liners with my oil paintings. Such a clean, smooth stroke, at least for the detail work.
Yep. I personally prefer softer brushes just because I think, I don't know, sometimes I feel like the ones that are really thick and the bristles are really rough, they kind of scrape the paint off the surface, especially if you layer on a lot and you don't work in a lot of layers.
Yeah, especially with panels. You don't see that nearly as much with canvases. But because the panel is unyielding, that little bit of pressure from even a moderately firm bristle is just going to cut right through it.
Yeah, for sure.
Melissa Sink, has anyone ever used tattoo transfer paper with oil or acrylic?
Yes.
I was thinking of it with the S8 red, but I wasn't sure how it would react, so I used a carbon paper.
Yeah,
don't do it.
Don't do it. You're right. Yeah, we were just talking about this a minute ago. That is, nothing will cover it. You'll find yourself just having to accept that purple in your painting.
And it won't even blend.
Right, and it won't blend. It's just, every time you put down paint to try to cover it, it just bleeds back through again.
Sandy was laughing. That's funny. My mom just reminded me that she tried to use my stencil paper once, and it was a nightmare.
Always seems like a great idea.
I wonder if I move my light, it's not going to be so bright.
Sounds like Melissa wants to push her luck. She says, even with a red paper, it's not the purple.
Well, somebody's got to find out, right?
I think Melissa would save herself a day of frustration if she just does something else.
Well, this regular transfer paper is great. It works really well.
So why reinvent the wheel?
Right. Not the stencil, not the stencil paper though.
Right. So transfer paper is much different from stencil paper because it's just either carbon or it's I don't know if it's actually carbon. It might be like black colored pencil stuff, and then the white paper is just like white colored pencil stuff, basically.
Yeah, you really can't get it off. That's the purpose of it. I don't know if any of you have seen that viral video of a guy being pranked by his friends when he was in the shower. They poured the purple ink all over his body, and when he had to be in the airport, he was all purple. He couldn't get it off his skin. It is, I think, one of my favorite videos on the internet. He was so mad. Poor guy.
Yeah, I remember my boss telling me a story of somebody vandalizing one of the other tattoo shops by they sent somebody in there to look like they were just browsing Flash, and they sprinkled dark powdered blue pigment on the floor. Not very much, you wouldn't even know it was there. And then evening came, and the apprentice came out with the mop and basically just like painted the floor.
Yeah. Oh, poor apprentices.
Oh yeah, I know. Guess who got the blame for that one, right?
No. I remember one time I decided to mess with my coworker, so I put ink in her gloves, and every glove she took, she put it on, and her hands were, covered in ink, and she's like, "What is going on?"
How long did it take her to figure that out?
Longer than I thought. I thought she would catch on really quickly, but she kept changing gloves, thinking that something was wrong with the gloves or her fingers. She didn't know how it got there.
Melissa says she's laughing. She's going to try it over the weekend with something small.
Okay. Tell us how it goes.
With a red, like a 6x6. Okay, so Amy says, I have a hard time transferring on stretched canvas because it needs to be supported behind. Any thoughts?
Yes. You can cut a piece of cardboard or foam core, and look at the back of your canvas, and the opening between the actual stretcher bars. You want the piece of cardboard to be maybe 3/8 of an inch larger in both dimensions than that opening, and then just very carefully kind of wedge it in there behind the canvas, so it's held in place by the stretcher bars. And yeah, in some cases you'll want to leave it there for the whole painting. It really makes it easier to work on. Turns into a canvas panel, but we do that all the time.
Guy, do you prefer to paint on canvas always?
Well, I'm starting to warm up to panels, since we've done a couple panels recently, and I'm used to having a fairly expressive brush stroke with pretty thick paint on it, and I like the way that the texture of the canvas kind of pixelates things a little bit.
Right.
But at the same time, there definitely is something to be said for this creamier look. Also, I've always just liked the fact that you can decide, I'm going to make a 2x4 foot canvas and just get out some wood. And, we've always had a big roll of canvas in storage, and make any size you want anytime.
That was funny. I just muted myself, read a comment, and then unmuted myself, and was wondering why you were ignoring me, or ignoring the comment.
Okay.
Seth Mushrush says masonite. It's rigid and thin.
Yeah.
Masonite, rigid and thin. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm painting on right now. For me, I do like the surface, but it was also, I live in the city, so space is an issue, and I found that it's a lot easier to store your unframed paintings. If they're masonite, you could just stack them, so that's easier. And canvases, they tend to take up a bunch of space. And also, I think I feel like I always get dents in my canvases. There's always like like a finger stuck in the middle of it, and then there's like this protrusion, and you have to put water in the back and hope that it evens out.
He meant for support under a canvas for transferring an image.
Ah, okay, yeah. Cardboard works just fine, or foam core. I've used that too.
Also, I missed this comment. Nini Gowden says hello from Idaho with a smiley face.
Hello.
Hello, Idaho.
I'd be interested to know which direction people are taking their reference. People want to sound off in the comments what kind of fantastical additions they're making to their piece.
Well, I'll show you mine real quick. It's sort of predictable.
Hold on. I've got to
unpin it. But yeah, sort of
That's cool.
That bio thing a little bit. I'm using
Very
the color
nice.
somewhat. I think I'm making her meaner looking than I'd meant to, so I'm going to work on that.
That's all right. It looks really
Come
cool.
around and take a look at daughter. She went very feline with hers.
It's not
Aw.
finished. We're working it a little later, except it's supposed to look a little like my black cat, Vincent.
Oh, nice.
And then I think Michelle has not quite arrived at...
I left this open to get to it later because I want to do something fantastical up here, but I didn't have the time to think about it before we started. So I'm
I
just
like how you cropped that. That's really cool.
Thank you. Working on the facial, just locking it in, and then I'll add some kind of whimsical element.
Yeah, sometimes the crop allows you to work the piece, in more detail, but without, you don't have to do as much. So, Gabe, go ahead and unpin us, and then, yeah, we'd love to hear what some of our other painters are doing.
Between YouTube and the VTG, there is over 40 people watching.
Nice.
Okay, so let's see. Melissa Sink says, going dark with mine. Glory highlights, drew out a whole scene with a skull in her hand in the forefront. Or glowy highlights, not glory highlights.
Nice.
Amy says, awesome thoughts. I've used cardboard, but I will try your method. Have you ever used a projector?
Yes. Yes. I like to use a projector to project larger work. And I found that it's very useful and faster too. There is a lot of work, and you got to be really careful to make sure that the projector doesn't move and that it matches the placement of your piece exactly, because it's very delicate. So that's something to think about.
Yeah, when I use a projector, the projector is taped to the stand is taped to the floor, the easel is taped to the floor. Everything is fixed.
Yeah.
For mine, whimsically speaking, I didn't have a feeling for it, so I feel like painting the face is giving me a feeling for like maybe the mood I want to create, but I didn't have it. I didn't know what it should be without starting this. I just didn't know. Like it wasn't obvious.
I like
so
working that way
organic.
too.
Yeah.
Sometimes the painting tells you, and I like that element of surprise. You don't know until you're deep in it.
I sometimes feel that way about tattooing also, like for the energy of the client, like the colors that you pick and the mood kind of reflects their personality, and it kind of comes together like without, like once you just start working on the piece, it just reveals itself, like similarly with the painting.
Do you tattoo as well?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. What style do you like to work in?
In painting or tattooing?
Tattooing.
My style is kind of I mean, it's not really whimsical, but it's a little whimsical, I guess. It's a lot of no outline floral work and abstract, a little abstract, but mostly flowers.
That's cool.
Mostly women get tattooed by me. My painting and my tattooing are only slightly similar of each other. There's a mood that I would say that's similar, right? With painting, I have more freedom and I don't have to worry if the client likes it. And I have more time. Most importantly, it's the time thing, really, right? Time.
Yeah.
You can keep going into it and layering it with the painting and with the tattoo. The client has to leave, and then it's hard for them to get here, and it happens over, and then like it fades as time goes by.
Oh, that stuff.
I don't know. I like to keep exploring stylistically.
That's good, and you should let yourself, take where it gets. I feel like artists evolve, and it's okay if your style evolves too.
Yeah.
Like I've noticed that in my tattooing. I started doing a certain kind of work, and now I'm finding myself being drawn to a lot more abstract shapes. I like more outlines in my work now, where before I, preferred only realism. So yeah, and it's cool when your clients let you change too, when they give you that freedom.
Right, because some people have expectations of what your work should look like, and they tell you. I mean, it's especially they tell you when it's not their tattoo. That, like, I had some clients say, some person say of a tattoo I did recently that was specifically colored for the client's collection and her personality, and the subject matter was a moth and pine needles. And she goes, I normally like your work, but this piece is muddy. Some random person, and I'm like, well, you're not the one that's wearing it, so why? I don't care what you think. But it's just so rude, and it doesn't give me any freedom to not do candy colors, which I don't do as much anymore. But that's what she expected me to do, and I was really put off by that.
Yeah, you gotta love those comments on social media.
I'm rude.
Everybody's an expert.
Everyone's an expert. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, but they would never say that to your face, though.
No. And I was just like, I was really irritated for a minute, and then I just thought about how I could have responded, and I chose to just say, quote Bob Marley, and say, you could please some people sometimes, but you can't please everybody all the time, right?
You shouldn't try.
No, you shouldn't try.
It's a lost battle. You're never going to win it.
It is. I agree. And then you're not doing things for your own taste. You're doing things to please others.
I just always thought that you're going to do yourself better than you're going to do, like, whatever your imitation is of what you think people want, Yeah. Whatever it is that you've got going for you, that's your skill. And so imitation isn't going to get you anywhere that you don't already have.
Yeah, everybody should do you, and the world will adjust.
That's right.
Especially as an artist, it's very important, since our egos are so closely tied to our self-worth. It's such a sick joke.
So, if you don't have an ego, how do you have a style? Because your ego is your personality.
Your interface with society, and
right. It's not a bad thing to have an ego. I just think you have to keep it in check. Like, so you're not rude, and I don't know.
Or too easily bruised.
Too easily bruised or rude. Just like some people are it's all about them.
I think in my experience, or at least with people that I'm surrounded by, it's mostly the issue of, like, everybody has their inner censor. They always second guess themselves.
Yeah.
As opposed to the other, the kind of narcissistic, egomaniacal. Yeah. Although I think, maybe it's just different. I think there's definitely more ego in tattooing than in like illustration fields, in my experience, at least.
Yeah, and if you don't question yourself, you're never going to push yourself, because then you'll be like, this is good enough. And if you say, I'm not so sure, then you might explore other possibilities that will help you evolve artistically. I think it's good to have some humility.
Of course. It's a fine line to criticize yourself from a healthy, objective point. Sometimes we're not kind to ourselves.
Yeah. I agree. It's a fine line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
For
and you
sure.
know, you want to be able to see the weaknesses. You want to be able to see the stuff that needs improving, but you don't want the fact that you're seeing those things to bum you out too much.
Or to ruin your
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could see someone doing a really cool Medusa with this.
Yeah.
face.
Oh,
Is anyone out there
yeah.
doing Medusa? It lends itself well to that. Yours almost looks like a Medusa.
Yeah, mine's a little
That's what it reminds me
Medusa.
of, is Medusa. I can see I have like red eyeliner.
Guy, what are your influences? You know, what are some of your favorite painters?
Well, growing up, I was really fascinated by just artists in general and reading about their lives and how people like Van Gogh and Rembrandt and Monet were all broke and, you know, struggled. And I found all that stuff really fascinating. Da Vinci, the fact that he was an inventor. But the first time I saw an artist that made my jaw truly drop, where, you know, I spent an afternoon, literally like when I was about 12 years old, looking at a Max Ernst painting, just staring at it and imagining myself doing the painting, imagining each brushstroke. I was just in love with the painting, and it affected me like I'd never been affected before, right? And then the same thing happened the first time I saw a Giger painting.
Yeah.
And you know, a friend of ours brought over a book of Beksinski's work, you know, one time, long before the Morpheus books were out. It was impossible to find his work.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there's been a few artists that, you know, upon seeing their work, I just had to really stop. And by the time I'm done looking, it's changed me and changed what my goals are as an artist. And you know, to look at a piece and wish that I had painted it, you know. And I know that sounds a little weird, like it's not
That's
a
not weird.
thing. No,
feel,
it's just
I get it.
it's so impressive, and it's like, man, doing that painting would have been a pure joy.
Yeah, I hear musicians say that as well. They always have that one song that they're like, ah, man, I wish I composed that.
Yeah.
I think it's just recognizing the brilliance, but also the reach. Like you could see yourself almost going into that bandwidth of possibilities.
You understand that you've got it in you. You potentially could have been the
You're
person.
recognizing it like it's a familiar language.
You could have been the person that came up with it, but somebody else did. But you can come up with your own thing.
But that's why I don't think that anybody can say they have no influences, because everything you experience is affecting your input, your neural registration.
It's nurture all the way
Yeah.
in terms of like artistic development. I also wonder what you guys think. You know, this is a kind of like a strange question, but I always end up thinking about it, and I don't know the answer. But a lot of people believe that, you know, artists are either our own creative entities, and other artists feel like we're almost some kind of metaphysical vessels for something else. Where do you guys stand on that?
Well, I mean, I think it's almost entirely down to your interpretation of life and what life is. You know, are we our own free agents, or are we part of something larger? And you know, seeing how everything in life is connected, I tend to go with the part of something larger thing. And so eventually you just connect all the dots to back to that point of, okay, well, I'm just expressing something universal here. But you know, ultimately it is a reflection of the Guy experience, you know, and the Guy filters and what Guy has experienced and seen and been influenced by. So even if I'm, you know, in the best of circumstances, just opening myself up to the forces of nature, it's still going to get interpreted through what I, as an individual, have experienced and you know, seen and heard and come to understand. So I know that's a non-answer.
That's all right.
You know, and kind of what I'm saying is,
it's a strange question.
Right. Well, but it's a great question. You know, I think both. You know, I think we are individuals. I think we are part of something larger. I think both of those statements are true, and we can approach our art as very much an individual trying to create a very personalized expression, or of trying to create something more universal that anyone could vibe with.
Amelia, my beautiful girl.
You know, you have those moments. I think all of us, you know, that paint in any kind of volume will have those moments where it really feels like there's something bigger going on than you personally might normally be able to conjure up on your own, you know, and you might feel the movement of something bigger inside you, but that doesn't mean it's not you on some level.
Right.
You know, because you are nature, you are the universe in a way. You know, I'm sure you've heard the term, you know, the statement that we are atoms studying themselves, you know.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we have these personalized stories, and our art very much springs from that. But all of us are tied together by the fact that we're human and we're having this experience.
Yeah, I guess from that perspective, it seems obvious that if we are, you know, creating from the same place that created us, by that logic, you know, there's something else that's guiding our hand. But it's a, you know, there's not an answer. It's very interesting to think about. Sometimes I have these like crazy dreams, and then I turn them into paintings, and then I wonder, is it me that made them because I dreamt them, or because they came somewhere from the stratosphere that I'm not aware of? You know?
Well, dreams are one of those great mysteries, aren't they?
Huh?
Dreams are one of those great mysteries. It's like a look into your intuitive life that, you know, you would never interpret yourself that way, and yet, you know, when you're unconscious, you do, and I think that's why some artists love tapping into that stuff.
It's been one of my biggest inspirations, for sure.
You ever hear the story about Dali, how he would take a nap in a chair, and he would hold a key between his thumb and forefinger very lightly, and so as soon as he dozed off, he would drop the key and it would ding on the floor and wake him right back up.
So he would remember his dream?
Right, because I think he found that it's that moment of falling asleep, you know, that often, and you know, I've definitely had a few great visions in those moments when I've been falling asleep at something that's woken me up before I had a chance to get all the way there. And yeah, that can be a right place for finding visions.
A lot of people, you know, study lucid dreaming. That's something.
Yes.
Who said that?
Is that
you get?
Yeah.
Do you lucid dream?
I do sometimes. When I practice it, I do it more than when I don't. But I always have at the least I can exit on control, but often I will be able to control. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit? I'm very curious.
Well, the most accessible kind of movie was Waking Life, and I mean, it's basically, if you train your brain to remember what you were dreaming, you know, and even in the beginning, if it's not much, but like you wake up and you have a notebook next to you and you write down your dreams, and you're intentional about falling asleep and setting the stage for your dreams. So as you're falling asleep, you're thinking about something that, you know, you might want to dream about. And then there's dream signs. Well, for us in tattoos, it's very easy. You know, if I look at my arms, you know, my tattoos are all moving around and they're all crazy. Or it's a tattoo that I don't remember having. I'm like, oh, I'm in a dream. But a lot of it's, you know, if you don't believe you can control your dreams, you're never going to be able to control your dreams. Oh, that's my my hot water boiling. I'll be right back. Sorry.
That's a Gabe's teapot.
Okay.
I only ever had one lucid dream, and it was pretty neat. But I had recently broken my arm and my ribs falling down the stairs, and I could not sleep that first couple nights without taking codeine. And I'm wondering if that had something to do with it, because, you know, I've really never had a lucid dream before or since. But I had this moment in the middle of the dream where I was like, wait a minute, this is a dream. And it was a horrible dream, right? And so I was like, that means I can fly. And I was out of there.
Did you?
But it's, oh yeah, I had a great flight. And then it was kind of like, well, now what? And I couldn't think of anything. And so it just ended. And I didn't really know what to do.
Flying got lackluster really quickly.
Well, no, it's not like it lost its luster. It was kind of like, I can't improve on this. This is perfect. I should wake up now so I can remember it.
Mm. I used to have a lot of dreams where I would fall asleep and then I would watch myself sleep. And I didn't realize that it was a dream, but it was. And I would watch myself from the ceiling sleeping, and then my sleeping form would get up, and then crazy things would happen. And at the time, I didn't, you know, it was so real, because everything to the very minute detail of the place that I fell asleep in was very accurate. And it was hard for me to figure out that I was in a dream.
I think my big problem is it just doesn't even occur to me to ask that question while I'm involved in it. You know, it's just, I'm caught up in it. And no matter how weird it is and how many people are flying or whatever, it just doesn't occur to me to
That you might be in a dream?
Yeah, right. Or that I should even ask the question.
Mm.
But like Gabe was saying, you can sort of train yourself. He mentioned that movie Waking Life. I remember one of the scenes in that was this person realizes he's in a dream because he flips a light switch on and off. It doesn't work. He says, oh, that's one of the signs.
What if you just have a bad light bulb?
Yeah, there's that too.
You could get you can actually get a fair amount of work. You can get a fair amount of work done if you're a brain thinker for work when you're sleeping. Sometimes I'll set like a YouTube playlist up when I go to sleep, and during my dream, you know, I'll use it to just kind of go to sleep, and then all of a sudden I'll be hanging out or meeting the podcasters or the interviewers. Also, I'm hanging out with Noam Chomsky, like, because he's talking to me. We're having a conversation and shit. It's pretty amazing. But it's like, you know, it's the invasion of the every once in a while it's Shed Czar. He has really awesome his podcast shows up on my playlist in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden
I didn't know he had a podcast. Does he?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. He's been doing it for a while now. He's got you'd love it. It's all the dark artists and crazy artists, and
that's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It just like interviews, right? He brings on guest interviews.
Yeah, he does. Yep. And it's a little bit. He does monologues. He does a little bit of thinking, and yeah, it's great. It's cool.
I've been listening to a lot of Russell Brand actually lately.
He's great.
Russell Brand, yeah.
He's so interesting.
I don't like that he moved it over to the pay wall. Now he's like, you can only get 20 minutes of the awesome conversation. And then all of a sudden they just get into it. I'm like, oh man.
That's how they get you.
I need to cough up some bucks. He is surprisingly on though, for sure.
It's sort of interesting, the correlation you see between funny people and how smart they often are.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, Sandy is asking, are you able to share some of the colors that you're moving to?
Sure. So right now I'm working on the lips. So I'm using a combination with permanent alizarin crimson and with radiant magenta. I'm also dipping in, and I'm mixing the cool white with a little bit of I believe it's radiant turquoise and Portland Coal Gray. So basically, for the highlights and for this entire piece, I'm going to be using cooler tones for the highlights and then warmer tones for shadows.
How many people are painting right now?
It's about 40 or 50 that
Wow,
are
that's a
tuned
lot.
in. I don't know how many are actually painting, but we're exciting to see the posts later.
Are people posting already? Is that what you
Well,
said?
no. I'd be really surprised if anybody was posting.
Yeah. I was about to say, wow, they're really fast.
I think even the very fastest painters are struggling to keep up right now. Man, it was when Sean Barber had his class, it was like the minute the thing started, it's like, okay, let's get started. And poof, there was not a moment where we weren't in the process of trying to get caught up, you know?
Yeah.
But it was great. It was great. He's super fast paced at that stuff.
Mm-hmm. He was doing a skull, right?
Yeah.
Skull painting? Yeah. Yeah, I want to go back and watch that. It's probably really awesome. Very talented guy.
Yeah. Yeah, we feel really fortunate that he came to tattooing and decided that he wanted to teach us how to paint. Yeah, one of the other people that's taught a workshop with us a couple months ago was Christina Ramos. She's working at Memoir with Sean and Kim, and she's incredible. I'm really blown away by her abilities.
What was she painting?
A glazed donut.
Oh, cool.
But you know,
Oh wait, I
thing,
think I saw it. It was it pink? Pink
yes,
donut?
with
Yes.
sparkles. Yes.
Oh, they're nice.
And
Yeah, that was really cool.
She's somebody that really combines classic and modern sensibilities in her paintings, which I'm always psyched to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could almost see a little bit of that the old classic Dutch approach to painting with her stuff.
Wait, the green.
Yeah, just the
one
overall
when they
look.
Mm-hmm.
But then the palette that she uses is a lot more modern.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have some favorite illustrators? You've told us about your favorite painters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's see. I mean, one of my favorite like painters, illustrators, actually taught me in college, but you know, I was too stupid to show up to class because you know other things were more interesting. And then I graduated, and then I looked back. I'm like, wait a minute, this guy is amazing. So then I started taking classes with him at illustration master class and things like that. And he's just such a rock star. His name is Donato Giancola. I don't think I've seen anyone paint skin as amazing as he does. He puts every color in there, and it just looks amazing. So I really love his work.
Yeah, I've never had the confidence to put those really vivid spots of color. Like you see that in Lucian Freud's paintings too, just this unexpected red here with orange light coming through it or whatever. But when it's done right, it works. And of course you have to do a lot of something like that to do it right.
And you know what's interesting about that, and what struck me when I first kind of saw this approach to painting, is when you stand a few feet away from the piece, it just looks like, you know, a very well accomplished and painted realistic painting. But when you start coming closer to it and you see not only all the color of the rainbow in there, but also chaos, like this rich brushstrokes with a lot of just very loose approach to it, and it's still so beautiful in that kind of, you find such beauty in that chaos, and that it all makes sense from afar. I don't know, I really love that aspect of it. And something that I struggle with personally is, you know, really keeping all the brush strokes in the piece, because my tendency is to kind of paint on the smooth, like a smooth look, very like polished and rendered, and so I once in a while I do some studies to try to loosen up my arm and give it that freedom.
Scared me. Okay, when you work on your ears now that you took a break, you can use color pencil and draw into it.
It's gonna wet, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, you let it dry if you don't want to. It's fine.
Okay, you can watch a movie. Movie?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay, as long as you don't climb anything to get it and hurt. Or, no, you can't get it. It's on the ceiling. If it goes, okay, don't worry about it. It'll probably go out. Just, no second.
And Alicia says, yes, I don't know how Donato paints with all those colors, and it looks so right. The mud of Venus, as he likes to say.
Yeah, I had him work on my piece one time to paint one of the hands, and it was crazy. He just took I think what he likes to do is take a lot of color, and instead of, you know, do like single brush strokes, he kind of sometimes like builds up the color by stippling it on like this. It's very interesting to watch.
And the IMC is just online this year, or the smarter schools at the. They've always been doing that too.
Yeah, smarter school. I've actually yet to take the smart school. I've only done it in person.
Right. So sadly missed.
Yeah. I I really hope next year we'll be able to reconvene.
Yeah, it's right on the cusp, right? The springtime is still questionable.
Yeah, it's the uncertainty, you know, which part of me enjoys, because sometimes I like a little chaos, but not when it has such negative connotations and circumstances too.
Yeah, it's agreed. There's opportunity amidst the chaos, but unfortunately, there's a lot of suffering that goes along with it.
Definitely, definitely. Like people say, you never know what's gonna be in your 2020 bingo card.
Well, yeah, kind of do know.
You know? You
No, I
know?
was going to say you almost do know, so prepare. It's not going to be pretty.
Oh man, it's tough to think about.
The next, whatever, 60 days leading up to the election are going to be a testament of patience for everyone.
I feel like everybody's just gonna be drinking. It's crazy. It's just like,
It's going to take a lot of drinking.
it is. I'm stocking up for every eventuality. Just
Yeah.
gonna have. We should have drunk critique on election night.
Oh
Man,
oh,
it's gonna be. Oh man, can you imagine?
the tension is so insane.
Yeah.
The tension's so insane. It's nice to do these to kind of get away a little bit from some of that craziness. Although, I guess you were the one of the drunk critiques where Nico had to miss it because there's people breaking into the.
I heard. That's
Beats
crazy. Yeah.
That's,
Is this shop alright? Everything's fine?
I think that everybody's shops seems to have evaded the direct carnage. I know
Good.
that Sean Barber was helping his neighbor, or maybe it was downstairs neighbor, art gallery, kind of like pick up some wreckage. But so far, most people seem to have gotten away okay. Yes, we lost a guy. I don't know if we lost his batteries, but.
How are we on time?
It's 8:40. I
Okay.
suppose if people want to keep watching, they should be making some noise in the chat rooms now. But like I said, we won't cut you off until you want to. But if that's in 20 minutes because it's 9 o'clock, then that's cool.
No, I'll keep painting. I got my Red Bull here. I'm good.
Sweet. You know how we roll. We're like, a very short amount of time, not much at all, as much as you want to, only about 4.5 hours.
I remember about the drunk critique. You're like, it's gonna be a hard stop after an hour and a half. And I was like, okay, Gabe, sure. 5 hours later.
It's impossible to tell somebody like, hey, you want to do drunk critique? Sure. How long? 5.5 hours?
Forever.
No fucking way.
You will be here all night.
Yeah. The last one, I swear, and he denies it, but I swear Bob had a 2.5 hour out. And
A 2.5 hour what?
Hard out. He had to be out at 2.5 hours.
Oh, I remember. I was there.
Oh.
You stayed longer than me.
Oh, that's right. Yes, you were.
Yeah.
They went on. I left at 2:00 in the morning. They went on for another hour. I just left my computer on in the living room until, you know, again, although they called me up the next day and were like, "Could you take out our phone numbers?"
Yeah, I think I left at like, I don't remember, was it midnight, something like that. And then I was about to go to sleep, and then I saw that they were still going on the chat at like 3 a.m. or something. I'm like, wow.
Well, think about Bob. He's a guy that's probably been to a million conventions, and so he misses that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying that you were saying that you were on for another hour, and then when I went back to the recording, it was still another like 40 minutes after you left, I think, that they were on.
Oh, wow.
But they asked me too. They were like, "Can you edit that?" Like the next day, one of the people I was on, like, "Can you edit that?" I'm like, "Look, man, it's drunk critique. I don't know what to fucking tell you, except for I've said shit I don't want out there, but you know, it's drunk critique." And he's like, "We gave away phone numbers," and I was like, "Okay, we'll edit for phone numbers out." But yeah, Bob will often end up with the guitar and the campfire, and it's yeah. And that last one, guy, when you hopped back onto, that was looking fun.
I remember the first one we did. It was like the theme was hats. Everybody had to have a weird hat on them. Remember that?
I didn't know if that was a natural theme. I think the hats just came out. Yes. That was very funny. I remember Stefano being a little bit like, "I'm a drunk critique, yeah, sure, but I don't want to." But he ended up having a very fun time. It's both like too intimidating. It should be very intimidating, but it's also not that bad till the next day.
Yeah. And I think somebody was like, "Hey, do you want to? I'm gonna rewatch that." And I was like, "I don't want to rewatch that. That's the last thing I want. I'm gonna just pretend it never happened and move on with my life."
Melissa in the chat room was there till 4:00 last time, 4 a.m. Let's see it. Yeah, everyone in the chat room says keep going. Yeah. We have to get the drunk critique live at the live conventions to up the ante one more round.
I think drunk critiques, in person, they're gonna be crazy.
Oh,
I want to be a fly on that wall.
Yeah, one thing that's great about drunk critique is you end up having to start muting people because they're just getting so loud. And the loudest ones are always the ones that figure out how to unmute themselves. And so they just stay in the conversation.
Wait, how do you unmute yourself?
If you just click on your screen.
Future reference, of course.
If you just click on your screen, you'll see a row of controls along the bottom and mute and unmuter among them.
Nice. I didn't know you had to do that.
Yeah, it's amazing moderating because you mute everybody and then that's good for like whatever 60 or 70% of the people, but there's 5% of the drunk people, like the guy was saying, that like Butcher, who's just wicked drunk but wicked sharp. Like he knows just when you're about to click mute all, so that you click mute all and he's not even muted. He's like everyone's muted.
He would have it back.
Like, oh wait a minute.
When is the next one? Is there going to be another drunk?
We'll do it tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I'm going to tune in.
Do you want to join? Well, if you wanted to join, you're more than welcome to, of course.
I think I have a lot of deadlines tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'm probably just going to like draw and listen to you guys.
Awesome.
And maybe pop off in the comments. Hey!
I think Hernandez, we're going to try to get Hernandez to connect. Last time he was able to, Robert Hernandez was able to connect.
Oh, I love him. Oh my God. He's so cool. I never met him, but he's really cool. I love his work.
Yeah, I met him briefly a couple of times, but he was able to beam into with his phone, but instead of the camera, it was the screen sharing his desktop on his phone.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like messages popping up that's like, this shit's not working. Oh, wait a minute. Hey, dude, you're screen sharing your phone. There's a little message that pops up. You're screen sharing your phone.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, if you're screen sharing your phone's desktop, then you should be able to get the fucking camera to work. It's almost harder to get your iPhone to share the screen than it is to just use the camera.
Right.
But, trying to do tech on the fly is difficult enough. Doing it on the fly drunk is
impossible.
Yeah. So Debo says, this is already looking so amazing. Horns and fire.
Huh.
Horns and fire?
I think those are the emoticons.
Oh! Oh, thanks.
I think Michelle is adding fireflies to hers now.
Well, abstract.
Very abstract. And yeah, I'm still using the reference, but I'm way off what it, started as. But it definitely is useful to be able to just see the basics of the face and not get too far away from that while I'm going crazy with this other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed myself that I almost get like the realism out of the way. I first start to make sure that, I get the face where I like it. And then when I'm comfortable with that, that's when, in the end, I start elaborating and adding fantastical elements. So hopefully I'll be able to get to this day. If not, I'll be posting, the finished product of this painting online. So if you guys, are following me either on my tattoo page or on my art page on Instagram, you'll be able to see it.
And of course, we are going to encourage you to also post with the hashtag VTGRayne. That's what I'm asking everybody to do, so we can easily find each other's and take a look.
Is her name Rayne, like it's raining outside,
Yep.
or Rayne like rain in?
R-A-N.
Okay.
Josh Myers on YouTube says, this is really beautiful.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm really curious to know how many of the people who are watching are also painting.
Is Rob painting tonight?
He was tuned in earlier. I don't know if he's actually painting.
Chris Hall painting? Those are your
Oh, sure.
regulars. Ask.
Is Chris Hall tuned in? Oh, I would have heard from Chris by now.
Still about 30 or 40 people on.
Nice.
Looks like there's about 15 on the YouTubes, but got some more still on the VTG site.
I'm just enjoying how different this is from what I normally paint. It's just nice to get outside of yourself a little bit.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. Cool. I would love to also take a, you know, a painting seminar of you do your style. That would be a departure for me from something I normally paint. Also,
I'll tell you what, we are having a Biomech paint jam tomorrow night, same place, same time. And it's not going to be really a class at all, although we're going to be talking a lot about what goes into our compositions and that kind of thing. But yeah, if you want to join us and just find a cool found object that you like the texture and shape of and photograph it under, you know, lighting that you think makes it look nice, let that be your reference. You almost can't go wrong from there.
And then you're going to be reinterpreting it in your style, or?
Well, I mean, my style is so much just already an interpretation of things around me. I look at natural references a lot, and I paint a lot of these things pretty close to natural. You know, I just usually set them up in dramatic lighting and that kind of thing. But so much of my style is just stolen directly from tree bark and stuff.
I wouldn't say stolen because it's not our exact replica.
Okay, not stolen. Michelle says not stolen.
Stolen is if you're totally copying pixel by pixel without any kind of
right.
You know,
okay, and I'm not
liberty.
doing that. You're correct.
Yeah.
Even when I'm trying to do that, I can't. You know, it always comes out as my interpretation.
So,
Yeah, that's cool.
So Ray Villanova says, my chat hasn't been working, but this is fun. Melissa Sink is painting. Mike Flint says, I'm painting. I'll hashtag when something a little farther along, Pazu or something. Should we put up the Zoom link for people, or just kind of keep it controlled?
I think, yeah, let's keep this one controlled.
Yeah, cool.
Tomorrow is going to be more open and free form.
Yeah, perfect.
Definitely want people to be able to get as much from Rayne's instruction as possible.
Yeah.
Is Rayne going to make this a 3-hour painting, or what is her plans for?
Well,
how far she wants to take it?
saying that she doubts that it's going to be finished in 3 hours, so she's going to keep working on hers. But our session tonight is going to be 3 hours. And I'm hoping to get to a point with mine where I could call it at that point, but that's highly unlikely just because it's not my familiar subject matter, and I know I'm going to need a little extra time to really bring it together.
And that's totally fine. Again, I think the point of this is not to necessarily like finish in 3 hours, but to explore something new and push ourselves to kind of combine, you know, some realistic elements with some fantastical ones. So don't feel like you're pressured to have to finish.
Bruno said he was getting a late start, but he's joining the paint session.
Nice.
Cool.
No, I definitely would say that if there's any take homes I would get from this session so far is it seems like you're really trying to make sure that there's the freedom there to not be stuck with the reference and not, be, committed to, doing this exact interpretation.
Right. Yeah. The start of this piece, the way that I'm going to be painting it is going to start to be pretty close to the reference, but I don't want anybody else to feel like they have to, because it's going to eventually take a life of its own.
Sandy's wondering about one part she's curious about, in case we don't get to it, is the eyes. Can you talk a bit about what you'll be doing there, or let us know if you'll...
Yeah. So I'm going to make her eyes hollowed out, like have that like white glazed over look. And I think I'm gonna put a third eye like right here. So she's gonna have these three really like ghostly looking eyes.
Yeah, we had a fun session a month ago with Joe Harrison, where it was just an eye, just zoomed in on an eye. That was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Eyes are fun to paint.
Even simplifying it that much, though, you could still spend the whole night on it and not get there.
Agreed. Who is that?
Richie's DJing.
Nice.
Ask her what kind of music she likes to listen to. She can.
So Michelle's wondering, since the subject of music came out, what's your painting jams when you're working? What do you like listening to?
I listen to sad shit. My preference normally is rock and metal music. So a very atmospheric, doom. I really love folk metal, so that would be.
That's folk metal.
Huh?
Do you say folk
metal?
Never heard of it.
So let's hear a name of a band here.
Okay. Well, my favorite band of all time has got to be Arcona. They're
How do you spell that?
Arkona. So they're a Russian band, and they sing about like pagan gods, old Russian pagan gods, things like that. Also, the recent band that I've been really listening to that I love, they're called The Who. It's the HU, and they are Mongolian folk metal band.
Oh yeah, those guys are cool.
Huh?
Yeah, so I really love their music too. Really cool. It's an acquired taste, definitely. The style of music.
Nice.
Do you think? Well, I guess it's personal preference. And then
No, we got a lot of love for Arcana. Sandy got to see Arcana live. They were epic.
Oh, they're amazing live. Oh, every time I see them, they're just something else. They're so authentic about their performances and their music. And I love that they have it's a female fronted band, and she is so genuine about how she sings about what she writes about. It's amazing.
Jenna Tottens is also a big fan of Arcana.
Awesome. Some Arcana fans. I think eventually I've had this idea. I really wanted to paint some portraits of the band, or at least the singer, and send it to them. I just like as a thank you for all the wonderful music that I love so much. I had a chance to meet them on 70,000 Tons of Metal. It's like this metal cruise. But I chickened out.
You got to see Typo Negative a lot back in the day.
You did?
Yeah, they were from either from around here, or at least they played around here. Yeah, Brooklyn. There we go. So they were here all the time.
Yeah, I love Typo. Gabe, you live in Massachusetts?
Yep. Yeah, grew up outside of Haven, Connecticut, but I've been up here in Western Mass for 20 some odd years now.
Mm-hmm.
Since '92.
I remember when I was in high school, me and my friends, we used to hang out next to Peter Steele's house.
Nice. He was great. They were great. They had a presence.
Yeah. He had a really deep voice. I love that.
Yeah.
Who's painting? What's the class tomorrow?
It's not so much a class; it's just
that's
we're
the
doing
biopainting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's right. Is he going to be camping soon?
I think that's the idea. Is he's going out to the desert and finding something cool to paint.
And he's painting outside?
Yeah.
And sleeping outside too?
I'm not sure exactly how that works.
What do you guys usually listen to when you paint?
It's funny because I feel like I need to have music going while we tattoo, which, of course, it's very hard to get tattooed without music. And I always really try to meet the client in the middle there and find a mix that'll work for everybody. And often when I sit down to paint, I'll go without music sometimes, just because, like right now it's summertime and I'll just open the window and listen to the sounds outdoors. Bugs and frogs, and a little bit of open space there. But it's funny. Right now, I'm kind of feeling transitional in my musical taste, and I'm looking to hear new things.
What do you usually listen to?
Well, the tattoo mix, and I hate to sound predictable, but you've got
Say no more. I know what you mean.
and it's not bad, and I like it all. And Michelle and I have always listened to a lot of electronic music and various different styles of it through the years, and so that still makes its way into the mix a lot. And at night, sometimes I'll play really super kind of quiet, minimalistic electronic stuff. Just because I want to be able to hear those bug noises and have a little open space in my head. But if I don't have something, I always have a song stuck in my head.
Are you guys also in MA or?
In what?
Are you also in MA or in a different state? Massachusetts?
Oh, we live in Illinois.
Oh yeah, we're
Illinois.
We're in the middle of nowhere.
Nice.
I listen to electronic, and I love any kind of trance music, any genre of trance, as long as there's the lyrics. I don't like the lyrics in it. And then I like listen to 80s music for amusement because that's my time period. So I know all the songs, and I like to, it's fun. You just know the song. You don't even think about painting when you're listening to it because and Salvador Dali says that you should think about anything but what you're doing when you're painting. And I kind of feel that way about music sometimes, that you don't really think about it. You just do what you're feeling, and it just comes out.
Yeah, so I can relate to that.
Yeah.
I find myself at a very awkward position when I'm not. I feel like I always have to multitask when I'm painting or tattooing also. Like I need to either have my brain engaged on something else other than what my hand is doing. I think otherwise I overthink it. You
overthink it, yeah.
Yeah.
Melissa beat me to it, but I was wondering, you guys should light up the chat rooms with all of your recommendations so we could put together a playlist.
For music?
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the chat room there, so let us know a couple each. And Melissa Sink, like I said, she already didn't jump the gun. She thought of it at the same time as I did. If you like something a little bluesy, I'm very eclectic in music tastes. I've been hooked on Sean James lately. Never heard of him, so I'll definitely look him up.
Did he say bluesy?
Bluesy, yeah.
Bluesy.
Bluesy electronica?
No, not just music.
Okay. Well, there's blues music.
Can you hear that?
I'm not hearing anything yet.
No. Okay.
What should we be hearing? Blues music?
No, I'll put it on. What the heck? Let's see if we.
Oh, Gabe's is trying to play music.
Yeah.
You got it now?
We can see it, but we're still not hearing it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds great.
Yeah, except we can't hear it.
And sometimes I listen to TED Talks because I think
I love those. Yeah.
And I never have time otherwise. So brain can kind of like think about things you want to know more about, I like that too.
Yeah, I love TED Talks. I feel like they're food for the brain.
Yeah, food for the brain.
Or audiobooks also. I love listening to audiobooks.
That's a good thing to do. I don't ever do that, but it makes sense.
Yeah, but that whole thing with overthinking, that's a weird thing for all artists to kind of struggle with, because on the one hand, you want to think about what you're doing because you don't want to mess it up, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you very quickly get to a point where you start doubting yourself, and before you know it, you're not even sure anymore. When maybe before you were thinking about it, you might have been perfectly fine.
I think anxiety very often gets in the way of productivity for artists. I mean, I've experienced it, you know. Uh, you hope that you're doing everything right, and then, you know, it never comes out as great as when, I don't know, you probably have had this happen when you're painting a painting and it's taking you months and you're just, it's like, you know, giving birth sideways, and then another painting, same size, you know, similar detail, and it just comes out like an exhale, and it looks better, it feels better. um, and the difference is sometimes that you're just not overthinking it, you're not second guessing yourself, you're letting the process take hold. um,
But I guess why do we let ourselves do that with some and not others?
that's a good question. I think probably a lot of factors. It depends where you are. Like, there's in your mental state at that time. You know, are you painting for a deadline? Are you painting for yourself? How stressed out are you by the painting or external forces in your life at the moment? Could be a lot of things. I don't think I have the answer.
Yeah, I just know I'm happy that right now I'm not painting for anybody, because that's liberating.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, that's not the reality. And, you know, fortunately, I tattoo for most of my living. But a couple of years ago, I did a Kickstarter campaign, and I ended up owing 74 paintings. And
Oh no.
yeah, you know, be careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And
And how were you stressed out because you had to fulfill the orders?
yes and no, it was both. It was really both, because on the one hand, I was happy to have like an excuse to paint, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to stop myself and say, no, dude, you should be doing dishes right now. I said, no, you've got to get all these done. Get on it, right?
Yeah.
Because usually I don't paint as much as I would like to. But at the same time, there was definitely a sense of having to get out from underneath something, you know? And I don't like owing like that. That's an uncomfortable feeling for me. So I had to get out from underneath that. And I also didn't feel like I could paint other things, really. I had to stay on those until I had lived up to all my obligations. And some of them were easy, and some of them were, you know, the higher dollar, the Kickstarter pledge, the more I felt like I had to. I mean, I felt like with all of them, I had to live up to higher standards than I would if I was just painting for myself. And
Right.
I don't know if that's a bad thing. I didn't necessarily take the fun out of it, but it was definitely not like just painting for myself.
Yeah. I can definitely relate. Like, one of my biggest pet peeves is the feeling of owing someone something, you know, whether it's money or obligation to even, like, you know, show up or do something. Like, if I feel like, you know, my debt somehow isn't paid, I will stress about it until it's done. I don't know. I'm trying to imagine myself having to paint 74 paintings, and that's a crazy pressure.
Some of them were little, but some of them weren't.
Even so, that's a lot.
There's a lot. How
So
many?
74, yeah. And so when I was doing my research for the H.R. Giger article in the Biomech Encyclopedia, he was talking about how he could be enjoying a painting immensely, and then he'd have a friend over, and they'd say, "Ooh, can I put down a deposit on it? I would love to own that painting. It doesn't matter what you do with it. You could completely change it, but it's just off to such a great start. I'd love to own that painting," right?
Mm-hmm.
And he had to stop doing that, because the minute he had taken a deposit or any kind of obligation, he stopped wanting to work on the painting. Like, what if I do something and it's not what they want?
Yeah.
Right? What if this person, you know, whether they want to admit it or not, has expectations of what this painting's going to look like, and now I might take it outside that, and then what? So I can understand that completely.
That's one of the reasons that I didn't. I got a degree in illustration and right away decided I don't want to be an illustrator, and rather be, like a fine artist. Like I paint what I paint. If you like it, you can buy it. If you don't, because there's something about being told what to do, and limiting your, having to please somebody else. We already do that with tattooing. So I decided that I can't allow myself to do that with painting, because it's gonna start feeling like a job, and I can't let that happen. So I didn't know at the time yet what I was gonna do, but I knew that I needed a balance. Fine art and tattooing ended up being great for that, because I could get that social interaction with people at work and work with them on creating a project that they love, and then painting is my own personal exorcism, and there's no room for anyone else there except for me. And I like that selfishness, having the liberty to be selfish that way.
Yeah, I think that was the other thing with the Kickstarter paintings is definitely there. A lot of them were just, you're going to get what you get from me. It's going to be this size, and you already kind of know what I paint. So no real surprise there. But some of them, people were actually able to choose a subject matter. The clause was, it had to make sense for me to paint it, right? But I still got some variety there, and I still had to second guess myself a little bit while doing them. Is this what they want?
Did anyone ask you for something you didn't want to paint?
No, they were all, just like with the tattoo subject, they were all good subjects that, I was grateful for the project. It's just, like Rayne was saying, painting for me is normally the place where I'm not taking requests, because it's good to have a place that's just all about your personal exploration. I think a thing that happens with a lot of artists nowadays, and I've had some even admit this to me, is that you end up making art for Instagram. That is, what is going to get me the most likes? What are the kinds of things that when I do it, people respond to the most? And without even realizing it, you're starting to bend your output towards what's going to be popular. And I know artists have always had that pressure on them.
You mean with tattoos or painting?
Both. Whatever. I mean, ultimately, it's this cutthroat battle for attention, and of course, that's been part of the artistic struggle since time immemorial. But social media just kind of brings that struggle and the sense of worthlessness and everything else. If people don't like what you're doing, it just puts it right there. And I know it's definitely shaping a lot of people in terms of what their output is and what they actually do.
Right. I feel like it's almost, we have this running joke in my inner circle, because I never know what people are going to respond to. Like when I post something that I think is, really cool, people are like, oh yeah, that's fine. And then I wonder, like, should I post this? I'm not really crazy about this. I'm not sure. And then everybody loves it. And I'm like, okay, I give up. I don't know. I can never predict what people are into. So.
Well, some of it's not necessarily what the people are into, but what the algorithm puts in front of people to have them react.
Yeah, that's also very complicated. Yes.
I don't know about that either. So.
Yeah, I mean, like the algorithms decide what they're going to put in front of people, right? So sometimes they'll give you 1,000 likes or whatever the number might be, just to get you to go back, right? So if you haven't been on it for a while, then you put something up, you'll get a lot of action out of it. But if you do the same thing repeatedly, then they'll because the algorithms are based on your activity, not based off of like what people actually find enjoyable.
Well, I think it's based on both of those things. You know, people do have to still respond to it.
Correct. I mean, so yes, people will respond to, you know, things that they enjoy. But again, if the algorithm could put, you know, a variety of different things in front of you, and it has a choice between something that you might enjoy or something that might send you off on a political rant for a half hour, it's sending you the political rant, you know?
Funny. Funny.
Yeah, I guess that something like 7% of your followers see your average post.
Right.
It's a really disappointingly low number.
I actually I'm experimenting with, you know, like promotions on Instagram because I'm just curious how effective they are, and they're not. They're not effective. You know, don't waste your money.
Yeah, we've definitely found the same thing with like Facebook advertising. The only time it's even remotely effective is when you start getting super scientific with it and, you know, cast a wide net with a lot of different ads and then narrow down the ones that actually have a return. And you almost have to make a life out of it, you know, and
yeah,
that's tough. Most people don't have those resources.
I also have major beef with mostly with my because I have like a tattoo page, which is fine, but then I also have my fine art page, and both Facebook and Instagram, they just have such hard time with dealing with like a nude figure, and especially, God forbid, there are nipples there. It's the end of the world. And there were times where I was like, oh, okay, well, what can I promote a painting that, let's say, is just a portrait, doesn't have any nudity in it, and send people to my website. And then Instagram's like, but did you know you have a nipple on your website? We're not promoting this. And then my promotion would be denied.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea they took it that far. Wow, that's so like
And I actually, you know, try to explain. I'm like, hey guys, it's just a painting. You know, it's not even sexual in nature. There's just a nude figure, and they didn't care. It was just such a big deal, and it happened to me so many times that I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna stop trying. So.
Yeah, I remember when Chet Zara had a post once where it was a monster that had a pair of big googly eyes. And the algorithms thought it was a torso with a pair of big googly boobs, and it got taken down. It's so funny.
Oh man.
This whole thing is kind of mindless.
Yeah. I don't remember who did it, but they like photoshopped male nipples on female boobs, and then tricked the algorithm. That I don't know. It was just like a funny post. I don't remember who did it, but good point.
I think I remember seeing that post, though, what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I mean, even trying to show off a back piece, you know, you got a little bit of butt crack showing.
You got to put an emoji on it.
Yeah. It's so funny, like where they set these standards. Now that there really are people who have nothing better to do, and so, for example, if you were a tattoo magazine back in the day when those were still a thing, of course, we still got Tony Rommel, but there were a bunch of different magazines out there at one time, and a lot of them wanted to get into places like Walmart and couldn't because it wasn't even about nudity. It was suggested nudity. Like if you're showing a rib panel, there has to be an underwear strap going across at the waist, or else it suggests that person might be nude.
Oh no.
Right. They're trying to show off their tattoo, but you know, got to have a strap going across. And so, I mean, I was actually seeing for a minute there, you know, really badly photoshopped underwear straps.
I haven't seen that, but I want to.
I don't know if that's still going on. I mean, like I said, this was back when there were a bunch of magazines competing for space.
I think
on the show.
it's an American thing. Europeans are not. I don't think they're that hung up about nudity.
Well,
Especially
right,
in
yeah.
art, it's a lot more chill.
I remember in '92, I took a plane over to Germany, and they were bathing naked in the center fountains. And I was like, okay, there we go. I guess that's
Yeah,
the way they
Germany's
roll.
pretty lax with it. It reminds me of an article I posted recently. It's about a public park in Germany, and people were sunbathing nude because that's accepted there. And there was this boar with his or her two little cubs, and they stole a man's bag. And there was a picture of him running across the park butt naked after this boar
Unfucking
with this bag that has his laptop in it because he already ate the pizza that was in the bag, and it was just hilarious.
It was unbelievable. It was the best thing in 3 months on the internet.
I think I missed that one. Go ahead.
If you do a search for like naked, if I was in front of the other computer, I'd get it up. It's like naked man run. Thought it was in England, but it's somewhere. Naked man runs after boar who stole his computer.
Nice.
He was down. Whoever took the pictures got his permission. He's just like an old fucking 55, 60-year-old fat dude running around the fucking park, buck naked. Really
I love that. I love that he also found that hilarious. So that's all around feel good story.
Could you imagine? You're like, oh shit. Well, here we go. I'm not gonna let my computer go.
Yeah, I want that thing back.
You get it?
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I wonder. I wonder how many of us would have been just like, I guess I don't have a computer anymore.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I would have gone after it.
Yeah.
Not that I wanted.
I think that if you're already naked in the town square, you know, and that's already not a nightmare, then why not, right?
Yeah.
When people ask, if your house is on fire, what will you get? When somebody set my house on fire, I got to figure out exactly what I'll get. A pair of pants, my computer, and get the fuck out of there. Yeah, anyways.
Yeah, we would have to get all these animals out of here first.
Yeah, you have 14 cats or something?
Oh, something like that. And
You
kind
love
of fish and a
sharks?
lizard. Yeah. Yeah, when we have tornadoes come through town, everybody has to go to the storm shelter. It's good fun.
How often does that happen?
Oh, usually just like once a year. But
Wow.
it's no joke when it does happen. And there's been buildings in the neighborhood taken out by storms and tornadoes. We've had a tornado come right through the neighborhood before. So yeah, we take it pretty seriously.
Wow. How fast can one predict if a tornado happens? Because they're pretty instantaneous, right? How does
Yeah, I think that, I mean, they suddenly pop up. And so what happens is they've got people that are looking for the conditions. And once the conditions arise, and they're looking for like rotation in the clouds and the radar maps and that kind of thing, they can start to say, okay, right here and right here is likely to happen. And yeah, we get warnings on our phones. They are very shrill warnings. And we also have a siren that we can hear from the little town nearby.
Wow.
Get in the basement siren, and yeah, that's the Midwest.
Wow. I've never seen a tornado in person.
We haven't either. We've just seen tornado-like conditions. As far as seeing an actual tornado, as much as part of me would find that thrilling, I think another part of me would have nightmares about it for the rest of my life. So
Where did I see a cow be in the tornado? Was that one of those movies? Why am I thinking of that? You know what I'm talking about?
I'm pretty sure Wizard of Oz had a tornado with a cow flying around
Oh.
in it. There was once a tornado in the town near here that you could see in the photo that was shown in the newspaper the next day, because it really tore up the town and killed like 12 people. But in the photo, you could see there's this giant tornado that the photographer is just looking up at, and it's surrounded by these dots. And you look more closely, and you realize those dots are cars, and they're
Wow.
way up there in the sky. I mean, they're like
That's terrifying.
400 feet up. So not only does it have the power to suck up a car, but then it's going to throw that car randomly somewhere.
What fun.
Uh-huh.
I think the only thing scarier than a tornado, well, I don't know. I think it would be a tie between a volcano and a tsunami. You know how everybody has those tsunami dreams and they say that they translate into anxiety or something like that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've not had a tsunami dream, but I could definitely see how that would be an extreme anxiety thing, because what do you do?
Yeah. I actually have those often, and then I end up walking underwater for a while through like damaged cities.
Wow.
It's kind of crazy.
So you survived through the part of the dream that normally would be when you snap awake and say, oh, I couldn't dream that part because I just died.
I have strange dreams. This one of those was something along the lines of like I saw that I was in Manhattan and the tsunami was happening, and I saw it engulf everything, myself included, and then I started walking, underwater, and I would see all these like bodegas and restaurants, and everything had a chair and a desk. And to this desk was tied by a string a human heart. And as I'm walking down this underwater, city, there's just hearts floating on, attached to things, which is very strange.
Could that be because she lives in New York? That's possible.
Huh?
Well, in New York, you could have a real tsunami with cities underwater because of the sea levels rising. So maybe, there's like a little subconscious truth in that.
It's possible. Yeah.
But it could also just, like teeth falling out dreams are usually not because you're actually afraid of your teeth falling out, right? There's like these weird places our mind goes when we have anxiety.
It's metaphor.
The chat room has also informed us that the movie Twister has a cow in the tornado.
Yes. I've not seen that movie.
Is that a good movie? Should I watch that? Anybody?
I have not seen it, but I guess Jenna Totten and Ray Villanova might let us know.
Hey Ray, how you doing?
Jenna Totten also recommends Haunted by Type O and highly recommends the Alex Gray TED Talk if people haven't heard it already. Debo recommends a little Tom Waits is always nice.
As long as somebody's mentioning the Alex Gray TED Talk, I wanted to mention that Michelle and I did an episode, an hour-long interview with Alex and his wife a few years back, and it was really awesome, and nobody ever watched it, but you can find it on our YouTube channel.
I'll drop the link in the chat room.
Right on.
It was amazing.
I went to what is it called? The Hall of Sacred Mirrors years ago.
Oh, the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors? Yeah.
Chapel of Sacred Mirrors, that's right. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
I'll go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think I remember that a while back, I think they invited me to paint there, and then I don't know what happened. I think I forgot to get back to them or something. But hopefully, once this whole COVID thing goes away, it will be interesting to go there again.
Yeah, well, in the meantime, they've been really working on the Entheon building, and they've certainly stayed active during all of this.
Mm. Are they making something else?
Yeah, in upstate New York.
Well, they've got the Entheon building, which is the goal behind that is they're trying to make basically a visionary art museum that people will travel from all over the world to come see. And it'll be obviously mostly Alex's stuff, but I think they're planning on rotating other artists' work through there as well, and having it being a little bit more community based. They do have a lot of live events there, come and paint kind of things, art church, full moon gatherings. Yeah, Michelle and I went to one of their classes in upstate New York many, many years ago, right before we got married. It was like our pre-honeymoon. That's how we met those guys.
How was it?
Oh, it was great. This is a class at the Omega Center, which that was before they had their own venue for doing things. And we ended up going to Omega a couple of times for their classes. They were fun. Definitely some of it is, I mean, it's art instruction, but obviously it's not traditional art instruction. And a lot of it is about just,
spiritual, right? Spiritual base.
Yeah, or even just finding your vision.
Or finding your spirit animal.
Mm-hmm.
I said that's okay. I couldn't find my spirit animal.
Mm-hmm. What is it?
No, I couldn't find one. I went.
Oh, you couldn't find it?
They wanted you to shut your eyes and find your spirit animal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't see a spirit animal. I was disappointed because I couldn't find my spirit animal.
People sometimes do like ayahuasca to find one, right?
Yeah, I'm sure if I did ayahuasca, I would have a few spirit animals probably.
I had a self-styled shaman lady once tell me that, she did this whole thing, drumming ceremony, and came back out of it and said she couldn't really quite find a specific animal, but it was definitely some kind of large shuffling rodent. And, like a capybara or something. So now every time we see a groundhog or whatever, it's like, hey, Dad, it's your spirit animal.
I kept seeing horses in my dreams, so I thought it was a horse for the longest time. But I don't know what it is either. It's probably like a raccoon, old chubby, old trashy, eats garbage.
Yeah, we enjoy the raccoons around here.
I love raccoons. I don't know why people are so scared of them.
Or mean to them.
Well, I mean, they're still...
People are mean to them too, and a lot of times they have babies. Like the moms, when they come out in the daytime, they're coming out because they need extra calories because they have babies.
Yeah.
People are really mean to them.
I can understand them making you nervous, though. Recently I was outside trying to get one of the cats in, and this raccoon, I dimly was aware that it was behind me, but I wasn't expecting him to grab me.
It grabbed you?
He grabbed me, by the leg.
But that guy we feed him our scraps at the garbage, so it was looking for dinner.
Right, yeah. It was taking too long getting the scraps to him, and
you weren't fast enough.
Yeah.
That was sort of shocking, though, and their hands, they're not soft little hands. They're like these, claws, and that shocked me out of my and it's funny, he took it personally. She rather.
The raccoon?
Yeah. Well, and not very, but she couldn't understand why I was so bent out of shape.
She's like, chill, bro.
I just want some food, that's all.
I love raccoons. I don't know, they're just they're so adorable. I have this one hanging out in my backyard all the time, and I've been trying to recruit it, but it's too bougie. It's like a New York raccoon, it's too bougie to eat carrots. I don't know what it wants from me. It wants like.
No, they will not eat anything healthy. It's like once they
No.
discover McDonald's, that's it. And even though we have nothing like that in our garbage, it's like if you put out like root vegetables along with your leftover mac and cheese, it's the possums that'll get the root vegetables.
Oh man.
I think my favorite raccoon story though was I came out to check on the cats and I dimly caught something happening in our car, and I look and I see behind the wheel a little bandit mask. I'm like, what? And I look more closely, and it's got its hands
in the car or behind
in the car. I look more closely, and it's got its hands at the 10 and 2 positions on the steering wheel.
Stop.
It's just looking at me.
No way.
And I think to myself, no. There's not a raccoon about to drive off in your Subaru. And then it climbed up through the sunroof, which had been left open. But for a second there, it was a raccoon looking like it was like, hey, bro, nice wheels here.
Oh, man, that's hilarious.
Then we had a pure white albino raccoon hanging around for a couple of years, and he was super neat. He'd sit on the back deck and just throw him little bits of cat food, and he'd hang out.
That's cool. I want to be friends with a raccoon. One time I took like 2 months off and I went to live by myself in Poconos, and I made friends with a mama raccoon and a few of her cubs. So we had this really cool relationship after like a month they would eat out of my hand. And they're actually very gentle. Like they're not vicious at all. The way that they take I gave them like peanuts, and they would take the peanut from my hand so gently. It was really cute. I have a video of it somewhere.
Well, it might have just been the way that you developed your relationship with them. Like these guys have a feeling if I held out peanuts, they'd take my fingers with. Not on purpose or anything.
Right.
Out of sheer, yeah, like, oh, these are good. Thank you. Enthusiasm. So in not too long, I'm going to need to step away and get daughter ready for bed. But
what time is it?
I don't know. It's probably about.
She's watching movies. She's fine.
Is she? Okay. Oh, yeah, we're still good. Yep, we got time.
What time is it now?
What Guy's saying is he wants to go to bed.
Oh, man, I had a long night.
As a decoy, as an excuse.
But I'm close enough to being almost finished with this that I should stick with it.
You're almost done with your painting, Guy?
I think so. I mean, it could be worked a lot more. But my goal was to do something that I could call finished tonight.
Oh, I'd love to see.
Let's see. I'll.
So Guy, are you calling it now, or because I can't feature it right now? I don't think.
Oh, okay.
What did he say?
I just can't feature it. It'll show up. Hold on. Give me a couple seconds.
It's so funny though. Looking at it through the screen is so different from looking at it in real life.
Hello.
Is that?
Oh, that looks really cool. That's really
I kind of
awesome.
lost some of the personality there, but I think I was free enough, with the knowledge that I didn't have to worry about that.
I love what you did with her collar. That's amazing. It looks like bones.
Or something. Yeah, I figured I like the fact that there was this repeated motif going on, and rhythms like that are often part of the basis of biotextures and things. So just ran with that.
That looks awesome.
Thank you. And let's see, Michelle, she's got some fireflies going on. And you can really see her kind of painterly
Very
brushwork approach. Yeah, I like the fireflies a lot.
I think I love the expression on her face that she captured.
Yeah, I think that she captured the thing in her personality that I lost entirely. Yeah, looks great though.
Thanks, guys.
Ray says beautiful. Mike Flint says really cool.
Nice. Can't wait to see everybody else's. All right, I'm going to turn my camera back off. Rayne, would you be willing to zoom in a little bit so we can see the
Sure.
detail?
What I'm doing right now is called lazy pearls. So when you don't want to render the pearls too much, you just kind of imply the shape, and yeah, it kind of looks like a pearl.
Yeah, those facial features look so good though. Wow.
Thanks.
Oh, that looks great. I love the highlight on the nose and the wetness of the lips. That looks really cool.
Yeah, and also just it seemed like a lot of white when you were first putting it down, but now seeing how everything's come together, it's just very pale and luminous.
Yes, daughter.
You know how frosty the cross-side was?
Yeah, it's unfortunate because of the light you can't see different colors here. Everything is a little bit washed out, but I guess it's just how it is. But there's a lot of there's like a pale blue here and some yellow tones in the nose and on the side of the face.
Why'd you animal?
I'm so you give her face more expression. I'm stylizing it, right?
What will she look like at the end?
I don't know. I'm still working on it.
Yours is very you and Dad's is very Dad.
Oh yeah. Yours is very you.
Yeah.
Speaking of milk, this is just really, really strange. Even though the door was wide open.
Yeah.
I could literally walk through it with my arms out like this.
Mm-hmm.
She was standing on her hind legs and scratching at the door.
To go out or to go in?
To go in. Even though it was wide open.
Strange.
The office door is wide open. So wide I could walk through with my arms like this.
Get ready to get
And she was
Huh?
howling.
I can't hear you.
And she was howling. And then she came. And then I picked her up and brought her in. And she went back out and started scratching at the door again.
I'm gonna finish my painting.
Okay. You're pretty close.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You're gonna wind things down, right?
Yeah. So Rayne, I'm gonna step away in a minute here. I think Michelle is gonna keep painting.
Sure.
I'm gonna leave my phone here, and I'm still finding things to do, but it is time for me to step around and step away and do some dad stuff. This has been fun. This has been a lot of fun. And,
thank you so much for painting with us. It was really cool to chat to you.
Yeah, this has been a great talk. And
Tell her that she can see everyone's paintings on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yes. What's the hashtag again?
VTG Rayne. And I will be making a post with my painting later tonight or tomorrow morning where I repeat that so that people who see that post, it'll say the hashtag on it. And love to be able to compare all the different approaches that people took.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Do you think that when you paint a face that you should keep the hair more out of focus so that the emphasis is on the face? And do you think if you paint the hair too tight that it takes away from the face? Rayne, what is your thoughts on that?
What do you mean when you say like tight? You mean like really rendered?
Yeah, exactly. Strand for strand, like when you really pay attention to the thinner lines. Does it take away from the face?
I guess it depends on how you do it.
Yeah.
I kind of group hair together and then pull out some flyaways.
Yeah.
I've also started doing something different lately. Is basically I've been taking the end of my brush, and then let's say if I want some like, you know, little flyaways, I kind of scratch it in there. And it's, I don't know, it's kind of fun to do. So
yeah,
in general, like for the most part, it will be like a very general shape, and then like I could pull out some of these things like that.
Because I'm doing the hair right now, and I just noticed in general, I don't do a lot of faces, but I notice whenever I painted a face that if I make the hair too tight, it flattens the face.
I would say think of hair as like also a shape. You know, if there's a wave, try to think of it as a geometric shape.
Gotcha.
So then don't concentrate on like small stuff until like the end, and you want to like put some little details in there.
Gotcha. Like the pearls, kind of like how you're approaching your pearls.
Yeah. I've been painting a lot of pearls lately, and normally I would really render them out.
Yeah.
And they are such a pain in the ass. Oh my god.
Yeah, I really like it when painters do implied details, but it gives the gist of it without getting too developed. I just find that really neat. Like, I guess a little impressionism. I like that.
Who am I thinking of right now? There was like a very famous classical painter who's known for that. Was it Vasquez? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
I don't know.
He did these portraits, very beautiful. Somebody in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm thinking of the right guy. Some of his work is hanging at the Met, and he does these portraits of royalty, but he also one of the first people who started doing that, like grouping together details. And what's interesting about him too is that he actually really liked painting people at the court who weren't considered like, you know, like beautiful, and rich, and that was very interesting to me.
Like real people.
Concentrated on like court jesters or
Who's this?
I think I'm talking about Vasquez. I'm not sure. I think I'm getting the name wrong. I see his paintings in front of my eyes, but I'm not sure if the name is correct. Maybe somebody can Google it and double check.
Yeah.
If you slowed down when you said it, I might be able to Google it.
Let's try
Vasquez. I see where we're at with this. Okay. Would you think VAS?
VASQUEZ? I'm probably thinking.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll figure it out, and then maybe somebody will call up. Okay, cool. Thanks. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. Velasquez, wait.
Velasquez. Oh, yeah, I got it here in Wikipedia. Okay.
Is that the name? That's the right
Diego
name?
Velasquez.
Does he do like realistic portraits?
Italian period Madrid. Yes, he does.
All right.
19th century realist and impressionist painters.
Oh, cool. I like that style. That's really neat.
It's one of those also. It's natural for some people not to over render and to just let loose. For some people, it takes a lot more work.
Yeah.
When was the last time you were in Russia?
Oof. I was in Ukraine in 2004 was the last time.
Okay.
In Russia, I was probably 98.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna let things settle down before I go back.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
a little crazy in Ukraine right now.
Oy.
Guy and I loved Salvador Dali too when we first got together in the early 90s. I mean, we've loved him for a long time, but we went to his museum in Florida and spent a week looking at his paintings. The state
What'd you
went
think?
on a vacation. We made a vacation out of going to visit the Salvador Dali Museum.
That's
And,
amazing. I love that.
Yeah, and it was really interesting, like to see them in real life, the paintings,
Mm-hmm.
compared to seeing them in a book. They were so much better in real life. I mean, they're beautiful in a book, but in real life, you could see the brushwork and the depth of the piece a lot more, and it was so cool.
And they're fucking
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, they're huge.
Have you
They're
ever
much
seen
more
his
beautiful.
drawings?
Yeah. Yeah, they
His
had a
drawings are so strange.
Yeah.
They make no sense at all. There's
Yeah.
sometimes you don't even know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
The first time I saw them, I was in shock.
Huh?
Not what I expected.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna make these pearls into some kind of a horn situation. There's an interesting picture of Dali where he is walking an alligator.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that?
No, I don't think so. Oh, I think I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I'm glad you got it.
No, she stole any.
Is there any more floating around, Kai, or did you get it all?
No, I got it. It was hanging from her. She was walking around and threw something in the room.
Oh.
That's why I don't keep that stuff out of the house.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Rayne, what kind of webcam is that?
Hey, they can hear you.
What kind of
kind of
webcam
what?
is that? Oh, webcam?
My webcam?
Yeah, what are you using? You said you got a webcam. What kind do you have?
So I don't have a webcam. I have a phone for the painting and an iPad
Okay.
for
Okay.
another.
Got it.
Can you see me? Can you see everything okay?
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Usually when people, it was my own bias. Whenever any people complain about color balance, I'm like, they're shitty webcams. We need to figure out which ones work. Well, I guess what kind of phone is that? Is that an iPhone?
It's a Samsung 9. Samsung Galaxy.
Got it. Okay.
It also may be because I have these lights turned on full blast, and when I try to dim them, they start to flicker. So they have to be on full intensity.
I mean, it looks awesome. I mean, we don't know what we're missing. I don't know what I'm missing.
Yeah, these lights are pretty cool. I got them on it was $16 on Amazon.
Wow.
I use them to paint all the time. They have like the gooseneck, very comfortable. You could always adjust it to painting. And you could actually set them to different settings if you want warm light, medium light, or cold light.
Do you have any preferred projectors or any tips on projectors?
Yeah, the one that I got that I really love. Can you Google it? It starts with a Q. It's like a very small portable projector, maybe like 5 by 4 inches. And it can also be wireless. Works perfectly for me. I think I bought it around $400, something like that.
Wireless.
Best Buy.
Wow. That's so
Best
cool
Buy.
that it's wireless.
Huh?
It's so cool that it's wireless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And it starts with, okay, so you got to give me a little bit more. So it's a mobile projector that starts with a Q.
I think so.
Okay. A portable projector.
I'm really bad with names in case you guys didn't catch on yet. I wonder if you can see what I'm doing. Is this
I don't know.
too
Best
light?
portable.
Sometimes impossible to keep cyber.
It's okay, Kyle.
No need.
Rayne, how long have you been tattooing for?
About 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
About 20.
Oh, cool.
Hard to believe, actually. Time goes by.
Definitely. Do you ever get burned out? I feel
No,
like
because I don't tattoo like regularly. I tattoo mostly on the weekends. So just a couple days a week.
I see. Yeah. That's cool. Every once in a while, it happens. I get a really bad case of burnout,
Yeah.
and I have to not tattoo for a few weeks.
Oh yeah. Well, you know it's good to take a break.
Yeah, for sure. I think during COVID, when we were in quarantine,
Yeah.
I didn't tattoo for like 3 months or something
Yeah.
like that.
Me
And I was like, I forgot what this feels like. And then you come back, you're like, do I still know how to do this?
You're not alone in that.
And you're like, oh, there's the back pain I was missing.
Yeah, the back pain.
Yeah.
Do you ever paint do you ever use a palette knife when you paint?
No. That's a really good exercise though, to get loose.
Yeah. I've never done a painting with a palette knife. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, you definitely slap on a lot of paint.
Yeah.
And I feel like for something like that, it has to be a decent size
Right.
surface.
That'd be an interesting challenge.
Yeah, yeah. I'd be very curious to see how I would fare for something like that.
Yeah. Maybe that should be some kind of paint jam someday. Just to.
I would be into it. Yeah, maybe get a few artists together and have a specific rule.
Yeah, right. That sounds cool. I'll tell Guy. He's not.
Yeah.
Because then it gives you freedom, because you could do maybe whatever subject you'd be attracted to, but you wouldn't have the freedom of total control. Could be good.
I like that. That's a really good idea.
Could be freeing, kind of, in a way, right? Like
I also feel like a structure like that for people who paint very tight is
Yeah.
necessary.
Yeah.
Like drop all your tiny brushes, grab something big,
Yeah.
go to town.
Be interesting.
Mm-hmm. You know what I haven't done in a while though that I really miss? Like plein air painting, just painting.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I did like a landscape outside. It's been a long time. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be. We were doing that when we were doing the Paradise thing with Gabe. Remember Gabe, the plein air? Kim Reed, did she? I don't remember who taught that. Along Paradise.
Let's see. We had Dan do it a couple times.
Oh,
Nick's
Dan
done it a
Hazelwood?
couple times.
Oh,
or
yeah, Nick.
at least Joe Harrison did it in New Mexico.
Oh, right. That was
That was
great.
pretty amazing. That was the year that actually Alex Gray came out to Allison Gray came out to teach.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Most of it was. Except for everyone got that flu, that virus. Remember that?
There was a bit of a bug that went around.
That was horrible.
Yeah. It was a wonderful venue, beautiful art. I love that. It was one of my favorite events.
Yeah.
I do have Jiminy Peak scheduled for an art retreat next spring.
Oh, wow.
But I think it's probably time to just cancel that or push it up.
Yeah.
I just don't see people traveling very far and wide to.
Yeah, who knows how long this COVID thing will take to be done with. I can't wait for it to be over.
Yeah, we all have to be patient, right? Because it's just as dangerous now as it was before.
Yeah.
I mean, and all you have to do is fuck it up once or twice, and
yeah. Well, yesterday we were at a state park and we were doing this thing with reptiles for Kaya, and it was pretty kosher until all the kids got like an inch away from each other and all had to touch the reptile, and I'm like thinking to myself, God, I hope that all the precautions that we've taken haven't just gone out the window right now, because we were outside, so nobody was wearing masks. But
outside.
You never know when you're out and about. It just takes one, mishap or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it feels. I mean, I'm not a scientist. I don't fucking know. It feels like it's like the indoors. Lots of talking for long periods of time is the biggest.
Or
culprit.
they're saying if you go on the airline and you go to the bathroom and you flush the toilet and you don't have the mask on, it brings up the aerosol from the toilet and you can breathe it in because you took your mask off to go to the bathroom. So keep your mask on when you're going to the bathroom. If you're on an airline.
I might just drive.
Right.
Exactly. For a bit.
For real. Yep.
I'll be like the 50th person over to Europe.
Yeah.
Definitely not the first.
Yeah. Right.
I'm itching to travel a little bit. Whatever.
Yeah, I have a vacation time coming up in end of October, beginning of November, and for the longest time we wanted to fly to Oregon because we've never been and just hang out with you at the waterfalls and everything. But now I think we're just going to probably just take a road trip and drive around.
That's cool.
Yeah, we're not sure where to go yet. Thinking maybe Maine. It's mostly, we mostly want to do maybe like some nature and farmland, things like that.
Maine's beautiful.
Yeah, I've never been. So if you have any recommendations, let me know.
Oh yeah, definitely the coast. I could send you some links. Yeah.
Sweet.
He said his throat's just beat up.
Yeah.
I just don't want him to get cold. I just don't want
I
him
can hear you.
You're doing a good job.
Thanks, Kaya.
Very realistic. Your own way.
You're still hungry?
It's crazy. All
We're
these
gonna keep
replays, like
You have to,
together,
right.
make up a pretty impressive collection of,
Why didn't you ask your dad to make you mac and cheese? Kyle?
you know, painting demos. This looks
How many
fucking
do you
great.
have already?
Well, we've done. This is the 4th event, so we did 3 other events, and there's like 3 activities on the stage, and/or in the seminar room each day.
Mhm.
So there's, you know, roughly 6 headlining events, as well as sponsors and booths. So I've been just kind of collecting the content and the demos that we're webcasting. It's probably like 10 an event. So we've got
Mhm.
like shit. I think we've got like 25 to 30.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's nuts, and we're all just, you know, kind of doing this for you know, for fun and to share. So it's, you know, not, you know, they're all just kind of there.
Are you
And,
making time lapses of any of these? That would be cool.
yeah, no, the editing is, you know, it's the most amount of time when we have the least amount of cycles. Unfortunately, there's such a wealth of data, but no, we just do the replays up in
Well, I did make that fried
in
rice.
real time.
Okay, I'll come and help
Mhm.
you. Come on.
But you're right. So, you know, actually, Thea has done
There's
time
more hot. You want more
lapses
fried rice?
of
We didn't eat it all.
what
Remember?
she's been demoing.
Yeah, let me get it.
So I take that back. The answer is some people have. I haven't.
I would be curious. I don't know if there's a way for you to send me the file. I don't know if like a recorded file, so maybe I could make one.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely could.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, you know, to that effect, I'll keep the thing going until you get to a point, however long it takes to. Well, not till however long, but like I said, honestly, I could just keep the camera going. So that
What time is it now? Now
it is. Somebody in the chat room's gonna answer before I figure it out. 10:10.
Mhm. Okay, I think a little bit more, and I'll be at a place where we could
Perfect.
stop.
Sweet.
I mean, like I said, I'm not going to be done with this piece, but I'm going to
Yeah, sure.
you know, done enough.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to the chat room, see if anybody's still there. Stage. Okay. York Beach, says Ray.
What?
Oh, York Beach in Maine. You're asking for Maine recommendations.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Oh, yeah.
So it was York Beach, probably Old Orchard Beach. I don't know if that's Ray might know more about that than I do. That was kind of a fun spot, but probably farther up north you goes.
Thanks. There's a park there we were also thinking of checking out. I don't know if it's called Arcadia Park or something.
I think you talked about a little bit about taking breaks and stuff, but on a regular basis, what's your split between painting and tattooing? Do both every day, or?
Well, I tattoo 4 days a week, but they're long days. I would start, I'd leave my house around 11, 11:30, and then I come home sometimes around like 9:30, 10, depending on the day. Some are shorter, some are longer. Yeah, and then I would paint on my days off, which, a lot of time is a plan, but then I end up designing for a lot of that time, so I don't get to do that a lot. But during quarantine, I got to paint a lot, which was nice. Really got to put a lot of time in there.
An unexpected, yeah, right, time to put into it.
Sometimes it's not even just the physical, you know, because your back hurts tattooing. That's nothing new. But then I get people exhaustion, you know, when you're like
Sure.
socialize every day. I'm introverted by nature, so sometimes it's exhausting to just have to talk all day.
I agree.
All right.
That looks great. It's crazy. 3 hours, huh?
Thanks. Yeah. Normally, I would put a lot more time into something like this, and it would be a lot more polished.
Sure.
But
Yeah, sure.
yeah.
Just to make that much progress in this much time is out of control.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
But I haven't drawn anything ever really, so take that for.
I mean, you're around artists all the time. You get to see their process.
Yeah. You know, it's at some point it's a waste that I haven't, but I can't do two things at the same time, so I'll stick to the computer stuff.
Have you ever had the desire to, you know, dabble maybe?
I'll go through sometimes short phases. Again, mostly there's a massive opportunity waste, right? It's like, holy shit, I actually can be learning from people who are actually really awesome, who really care about, you know, art in the world and everything. But I also kind of can acknowledge right off the bat how long it would take to get good. And I'm fucking not, you know, again, too old to be able to put in, you know, that many hours into something. So sometimes, but ultimately it'd be easier to kind of, you know, try to come up with some extra dough and commission something that somebody could actually make look awesome, as opposed to, you know, spending 10 years, you know, painting. But on the other hand, it's not about that either, because, you know, everyone's doing these exercises, and yeah, at some point I'll have enough spare energy to put into it, and then I'll go through all the replays.
It all comes down to desire. Like, if you want to, a lot of people say to me, like, oh, you know, you're so talented. I wish I could draw, but it's not really talent. I don't think it is. It's in my experience, people who absolutely cannot be taught art and painting are very, very small. And it all comes down to practice, diligence, you know, grit, and most of all, the desire. If it's something that you want to do, you'll stick to it. And most people who think that they absolutely cannot paint or draw, it's just because maybe they don't want to, which is totally fine. But I think they're very different things.
Yeah, I mean, I think like to master any craft, like you need to be kind of hell bent on doing it. No, you know, kind of no matter the cost, because that's how you sacrifice what it takes to excel past, you know, the other, you know, where the craft is already at, because that's how you progress things, right?
Yeah.
But I lost where I was, but this looks cool. I'm just fucking getting lost in what you're paying now. Oh, right. But yeah, so it's, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, well, anybody can do it, but most people aren't going to sacrifice what it takes to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And to that point, you know, I've sacrificed enough on the computer to the computer gods that I should keep doing that until again, I'm not doing anything that's not directly related towards trying to make a living. And
Gabe, has anybody finished their paintings yet out besides Guy that's doing this? Has anyone finished?
oh, I don't know, but you've effectively just asked, or I guess I could go check the Instagram to see.
Oh, it's no big deal. I was just more curious.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, I guess I'll tell us in the chat room.
Yeah.
Chat rooms, because we're also on YouTube.
Cool. I'm trying to finish mine. I'm almost done.
So the comments and like there's two different chats, one in YouTube and one on your page.
The YouTube didn't really get too much action. Bruno was in there. I think maybe there was one other person, maybe two. Most of the chat was happening over at the virtual tattoo gathering site.
Gotcha.
But you can, yeah. But so the replay will be up on the YouTube though.
Guys, looks like a Victorian Geiger biomech queen.
Mine?
I'm Guy's does. I'm looking at his.
Oh, guys, yeah.
A Victorian Geiger biomech queen.
I love that collar. It's crazy. I really love that collar.
Yeah, Mike Flint says, I'm done for the night, just mushing it around. We'll probably work a little bit more on it tomorrow.
Cool.
Enjoyed watching Rayne paint.
Thanks so much, dude. I hope you post your work. I'll look forward to seeing it.
Jenna says, definitely not done, but love painting with you. Got to call it a night, unfortunately.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Yeah, I'm going to be done pretty soon also, I think.
Yeah, okay, let me get back in front of my computer then. And okay. Okay. So I'm going to leave this.
Okay, I'm back. And you have paintings and prints and stuff on the website. What do you want to let people know?
Yeah.
What,
Yeah, it's theartofrayne.com, and you could buy my originals and my prints there.
a screen share for people. Sweet. That's cool. Okay.
All right. Out up a little bit. So yeah, so she's not done, but I think I'm at a good place to stop for tonight.
Awesome. That looks great. Thank you so much. That was.
Thank you, Rayne.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I had a lot of fun talking to you guys.
Do you want to look straight in the camera and give it like a real big smile for the thumbnail?
Me?
There you go. Good. You got it. Yes, you.
Oh,
Perfect.
okay.
Cool.
Thanks.
And cool. Well, thank you. Thanks everybody on the chat room. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, Gabe.
Michelle, do you want to show us what you've got, or?
What do I do? I've got Guy's phone on here. What button do I press?
I just asked to start the video.
Okay, the host has asked you to start. Okay, so I hit okay. Mine's sideways, but that's what I've got so far. I don't know how to zoom in.
Awesome. Yeah, that's it.
I can't even really see it, but. Okay.
I don't see it. I don't think it's popping up.
Oh yeah, no, it's showing up.
Is it on?
Yeah. Here, let me spotlight.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I can see it now. That's what I've got so far. Still working on it.
That's cool.
But I want to be done with it because I want to overthink it, like you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Very cool.
Awesome.
My fireflies are implied, but that's my my headdress is just an organic implication.
Yeah, I like that. It's subtle, but it's effective.
Thank you. I like what you're doing. It's really cool.
Nice.
Thank
awesome.
you
Thanks.
so much.
And actually, Rayne, is there a chance? Can you take that camera and do a little bit of a flyby close-up of yours right now, or?
Yeah, sure. 1 second.
If that works, I don't know if it's stuck or not like that. Or...
Oh, it's find out.
Oh yeah, okay, let me perfect way to end it.
Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Looks cool. Oh, I like your collar too.
Yeah, it didn't get a lot of love today, but maybe I'll work on it later.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you so much, guys.
Cool.
you,
Thank you
Rayne.
so much. We'll catch up
I'm
soon.
gonna go check out
Definitely.
I'm gonna check out your Instagram now because now I never met you until today, so I'll check out your work. I can't wait to check it out.
Please, let's be friends on there.
Okay, I'll find you. Doctor's
All right.
and I haven't seen all your paintings, so I'll go check them out too.
Awesome.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Take care, guys.
Cheers. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye,
Bye
Rayne.
bye.
Okay. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Jenna. Thanks, everyone in the chat room. Okay. That's done. And the stream.